Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the final day of the 2024 Canadian Scrabble Classic. Matt Canik joined by Josh Sokol, and we are bringing in a surprise guest for the last two rounds as well. Stay tuned for further details. But we're looking forward to high-level Scrabble. We're looking forward to seeing this tournament shake out, seeing some people claim the championship and the prize money. It's going to be a big day. And today is starting off with Matthew Tunnicliffe and Matthew O'Connor, called by Matt Canik. And Josh, I guess you're the odd one out here. But this game is going to have huge ramifications for the tournament. Josh, what are you looking forward to from the final day of the CSC?
I really hope we have some good games, some really cool plays. I mean, the games have been very awesome, but a lot of them have been one-sided. So hopefully we have the same sort of energy, but also with closer games. Because yeah, things are getting really tight. So let's take a look at the players that are ready to face each other once again. This is a rematch. We've already streamed a match from these two. But yes, Matthew Tunnicliffe in first place, 9-2, versus Matthew O'Connor, second place, 8-3. So yeah, this is going to be a really, really interesting matchup once again. So yeah, I think we're ready. We're ready to see them.
This is going to be fun. Yeah, let's cut to over the board and go ahead and get these gents underway. At this point in the CSW field, there are just three players looking like they could win this thing. Matthew Tunnicliffe at 9-2, Matthew O'Connor at 8-3, and Jason Keller at 8-3. So in all likelihood, it's going to be one of those three walking out of here the champion of Belleville today. And we are underway. Matthew Tunnicliffe to play first on that famous left side that's been drawing all the goodies all tournament. And he's going to have EEELNSS as his opening rack. This feels awkward to me. There's no bingos here that I'm aware of. And beyond that, geez, Josh, how do you even approach this?
Yeah, this is probably going to take him a while unless he just decides, whatever, I'm just going to play Lens and keep ES, basically an extremely transparent play. I don't know if he's going to be able to avoid either making a very small exchange and signaling that he has very strong tiles, or just showing O'Connor that he has an S with the play that he's making. Because if he plays an S for 10, 12 points, almost certainly Matthew O'Connor is going to know that he has a second one. So that's going to be very interesting to see what he chooses to do here.
This is bonkers. I don't even like, if you exchange, what do you exchange? This is a turn that's far too complex for 9:30 in the morning, and I think Matthew's face kind of indicates the same thing for him. This is killer.
Yeah, I mean, he's considering exchanging the E. This is something you do want to consider here. If you exchange one tile, how often are you going to hit? So he can look at every single tile from A to Z to see how often he is drawing into a bingo. Now he's looking at exchanging EL to keep EENSS, which also looks like a very strong option. But yeah, I don't know. I think
right? You think he'd play EL instead of exchange him?
no. So this is a very interesting concept. Playing two tiles for 4 points at the start of a game seems like better than exchanging because you're getting some points, but it actually leads to more of a constricted board on the second move, which reduces your chances of drawing into that early bingo. So most of the time, it's probably not worth doing, but we see Tunnicliffe is doing it anyway. It also provides the opponent with two floating tiles to play through if they had 7 letters looking for an E or an L for an 8-letter word. So I think this is maybe a slight inaccuracy over exchanging. Matthew O'Connor also, I've talked to him about this sort of concept before, so I think he said something like, that can't be the right player, or something like that. He probably said something snarky there. But yeah, over to O'Connor with a very awkward rack himself.
Yeah, I agree with you on most points. I generally exchange if I'm instead going to play two one pointers. Like I won't open with OI or AI. I'd rather exchange those, but I don't like how easy it is to stack on top of two vowels. In this case, in the case of EL, I think I'm slightly more inclined to actually play them and take the points, especially holding on to two S's. If I draw bingo, I'll be able to hook whatever in all likelihood. So EL, I'd probably play. But two vowels, I agree. Generally, it's best to exchange those instead of play opening AI for four or something. In any case, Matthew O'Connor now to respond, facing a huge deficit of 4-0. Just had to work that in this one. I
Nice.
think LOX and ELL in all likelihood what he wants to play here, but maybe he's thinking hard about WOX beneath EL instead, just to kind of constrict the board a little bit more. I'm not seeing any great plays that like close everything off, and EL has too many front and back hooks, so and anything else you see, would you consider just playing WELL around it, or you just locks and move
No,
on?
it's definitely between locks and walks, and this is very interesting. Like, I will mention that there is no solid theory in Scrabble about the opening move here of do you play for four or do you exchange? But what's really interesting is how is somebody going to respond? So walks is way more of a defensive response. Excuse me, it's early. By Matt O'Connor, but he's sacrificing a good number of points over playing locks. So it could be that a play like EL might force Matthew O'Connor to overreact and try to play a little bit too defensively. As we see here, if he had played locks, I think he would be in pretty good shape and he would have more points, but he's drawn into a great bingo rack. So who's to blame him for this play?
Yeah, wow. Who would have thought Matthew would get a bingo before the other Matthew? Who would have thought O'Connor would get a bingo before Tunnicliffe? But that blank, and then just his letters got really good as Tunnicliffe found more vowels after his opening move. So once again, Matthew Tunnicliffe with what is a rather challenging turn. EE and EEW jumps out. EE and EWE is a worse version of that. OE and EEW may be another option, as well as NEELE through the EL, making EX. I kind of like that last option, score some points, but it's 14 as opposed to EE or OE, which are 9. Josh, how do you approach this turn?
I'm telling you, Matt, I would not have gotten myself into this position. I mean, this is pretty bad case scenario. I obviously Matthew Tunnicliffe doesn't know what's about to strike him here, but this is exactly why a play like EL might not be correct. Just allowing an overlap like this, even if Matthew Tunnicliffe had a bingo on his rack, look where it would play. It would play making EEW, SEW, or EWE, opening a bunch of floating tiles, not hitting any multipliers, and just giving Matt O'Connor the world. So this is again why I think that was an inaccurate opening play. But also, I mean, drawing OE to EENSS isn't great, and the options are just terrible here. I agree with your analysis. I would like to score a little bit more with NEELE, but it looks like Tunnicliffe is pretty committed to the cause of fishy fishy, going as far as possible towards drawing into that opening or quick bingo.
Yeah, and then he's got the other big decision to make. Oh my goodness, he's playing down on the bottom. It's not what I thought he would do. Just asking Matthew to score a lot of points. That's maybe he's trying to get a tell right now because he hasn't hit his clock. But all right, OE on the bottom as opposed to the top is the decision from Matthew Tunnicliffe. It's going to lead to a more open board and help his bingos come down more often. But I'd be very scared of the huge scoring spot that I just opened up. In any case, we've seen EL for 4 and then OE for 8 as Matthew Tunnicliffe kind of slogs through the first few turns, consequences of that awkward opening rack that he pulled. and Matthew O'Connor now to bingo out of an excellent rack. He's got a gazillion different options. Just kind of choose your favorite, highest scoring available bingos. Put his S behind EWE, or put his blank as an S behind EWE and scores 72. Nothing crazy, fancy, or flashy here for him.
Yeah, it looks like just longies or legions here. Maybe some other word is available as well there. But yeah, very, very weird, very weird opening. I'm really glad we're seeing this. The OE play basically saying if you have a 4-point tile, I'm giving you 30 points. But the J, I guess, the most worrisome tile to punish the play of OE. But if JOE came down, SJOE would be a potential response from Tunnicliffe. So I'm sure he's thought about that a little bit. I'm sure he's not happy with this position either, but hopefully we'll see a little bit of an exchange of bingos here. I think Tunnicliffe is going to get a tile that he can use after either legions or longies. Am I mistaken?
The L is going to help him bingo. C lines, Sealines. So Eloins, Lignos, Longies, Legions all give the L back. Matthew Tunnicliffe will finally get a bingo down, assuming Matthew O'Connor does what we think he's going to do. But maybe he doesn't take the highest scoring bingo here. Maybe instead he's looking to play vertically front hooking OE in some way. Because he knows the range that Matthew Tunnicliffe is in, we might see something like LENTIGO and GOE. That is a word that does not take an S. It actually came up at club last week, and I didn't notice my opponent hooked an S on it because I was being told we have to shelter in place because somebody was making a scene and getting arrested at the voting station across the community center. So, God bless America. In any case, maybe Lentigo. Don't open up a back hook. That actually looks really solid right here. What do you think about that, Josh? Lentigo
Yeah, really,
71.
really like that idea. It makes it a little bit harder for Tunnicliffe to respond with the bingo, not opening as many playthrough tiles. And these are positions that Matthew O'Connor loves to think about. We keep saying that he's a speedy demon player. He's not a demon. He's a great guy, but he loves to think about positions like these where he can try to infer what his opponent is holding on to and make very sharp decisions, such as this one, trying to provide as little as possible in response. Maybe Lentigo slightly better, but at least this one doesn't open a potential double-double, which Lentigo would have done with the L in second position. So is this going to... No, easiness is available at least.
Lignos takes a back S, so I'm very confused by the decision from Matthew O'Connor there. I would do anything I can to avoid giving the S up. The S is in Tunnicliffe's range so often. I don't want to let him bingo down there. Maybe Matthew O'Connor thinks this word does not take an S, but if you know this takes an S and you've got an embarrassment of riches, this is a bad play.
This would be huge. I mean, I think Tunnicliffe, he doesn't have a 7-letter word. I think he's going to play easiness. And that might just... I don't know. Then 2 S's are gone. Matthew O'Connor's just drawn another S. It's going to be very interesting to see if Matthew O'Connor hooks an S onto Lignos. Because, yeah, it does look like a lot of adjectives, OSE, which are different forms of OUS, which do not take S's because they're adjectives. So it could very well be that O'Connor has made a word knowledge mistake here, but we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and find out because that hook has not been used and might not be used for a couple turns.
One of my favorite things about both of these players is they do have some deficits in word knowledge in certain places. They've definitely put a lot of time in. They know a lot of words, don't discount them at any means, but they're human in a way that some other top players are not. And that creates an extra level of dimension that I think is so fun to watch. But at the same time, it creates plays like Lignos, where it's like, what on earth? And I bet Matt Tunnicliffe knows Lignos takes an S. and has to be shaking his head there. Like, I can't believe I wasn't able to burn you. I had 2 S's, so any playable 7 I draw goes down there no matter what. And, he's got to be a little bit annoyed that he wasn't able to burn him. But in any case, easiness comes down for 59. Matthew O'Connor's found the third blank and play moves on. Options here for Matthew: Rump and PE looks to be a good play, but you could actually slide it over 1 square and make Rumpo in the same spot. The column's only 5. That's 30. That's Matthew's best play here. And he's
All
missed it.
right. That's true. Yeah, a little bit of a miss there, just shifting that over. We did see some interesting foregoing or missing of 5-letter words that are valid in CSW. Once again, it could very well be that Matthew O'Connor has not learned the word rumpo, given that many North American players have only recently fully switched over to the CSW International Lexicon, and there are so many more words to learn. I think there's around 300,000 versus 200,000 in the North American lexicon. So either a miss here or just, not knowing or not being sure of a word. But this is hopefully not going to burn Matt O'Connor too hard.
And he has drawn into a bingo that will play with lignoses, so we will get to see if he knows this hook. But we'll shift back over to Matthew Tunnicliffe, who's drawn a rack that is rather frustrating. These are rough, but he also drew the final S. So both players now with an S on their rack. There's a little bit of a psychological component. If you're Tunnicliffe, you think, why would Matthew O'Connor play Lignos there unless it doesn't take an S? So we've just got to see if he knows it. Lignoses is actually part of a set, Lignoses and Loginus. So perhaps he knows it, perhaps he doesn't. I bet he does, but we're definitely going to see who's able to capitalize on this hook. He can play Eloges, E-L-O-G-E-S, for 35 right now with Lignoses. He can play Geo on top of Rump with 3 overlaps for 16, holding E-L-S-T, or he can play Eloge, extending the E-L on the star for 16, also holding E-L-S-T. So Josh, are you scoring 35 at the bottom and cashing the S, or are you trying to be sneaky and hold it and play off just GEO somewhere?
I'm looking at Matthew O'Connor's lips moving. I wonder if he's just murmuring to himself. I agree with you. I think Matthew Tunnicliffe for sure knows Lignoses, and if he thinks that Matt O'Connor does not know Lignoses because he played Lignos in that spot, I think he's very likely to want to just use the hook at the right moment and not play Eloges here for the points. Something like Geo is a very hard play to spot. It's like overlapping in a very weird way, not using the triple, which is what you are drawn to do in this position. I'm very curious to see what Matthew Tunnicliffe decides to do here. He might go a little bit more aggressive even, opening the board, or he might just try to play a little bit longer and play through the R. But yeah, it's a very, very interesting game so far. Lots of psychology going on, I think. And then Matthew O'Connor, what is he going to do? Is he going to, if he has the possibility, play Sporan and Lignoses? Sporan is somewhat of a hard word to spot. You also need to have studied it. Once again, Matthew O'Connor among the players at the top who do not study words religiously. Matthew Tunnicliffe is the opposite. He likes to know the words. Matthew O'Connor likes to play around with the board. So very interesting. We'll see if Sporan comes down. If it comes down with ON, if it comes down with Lignoses, this is a key moment in this game.
Yeah, wow. So Ogler was a play I wanted to mention as well, thanks to the Deadly Gamesman for mentioning in chat, and I bumped it into my quackle. It jumped to near the top of the sim, ended up settling at second for me. But yeah, if you're keeping EST, this is a good idea. You want to open an additional bingo line for yourself. Get this board as open as possible. What you don't want to do is draw 3 eyes, like Matthew Tunnicliffe just did. Very tilt-inducing game so far on his end. And we'll see where Sporan comes down. It already played with EWES. and now it plays with ON. So Matthew O'Connor has 2 spots to score either 74 or 75. But yeah, he doesn't know that Lignos takes an S. Man, he dodged a huge bullet. That was a big blunder making that play. You can't do that. If there's any realm of possibility that Lignos takes an S, you can't play that. You have 35 other playable bingos out of that rack. That is a really bizarre decision to play that. Must have been a mistake. You must be confident that it doesn't. But Sporan coming down, and that's going to pull Matthew O'Connor ahead 207 to 89. Let me get the scores updated there. And then Tunnicliffe again, 3 eyes on his draw into EST, in addition to that M that he's pulled.
Yeah, if I'm Tunnicliffe, I am very, very tilted here. He must know for a fact now that Matthew O'Connor does not know Lignos takes an S, and he's going to have to work his brain super hard to try and make sure that that S hook is protected. He's down over 100 points. He needs that hook for himself. He has the last S, and he knows that Matthew O'Connor is not willing to play the S hook himself. But what's very interesting is because of the challenge rule, 5-point challenge, it's not going to cost Matthew O'Connor so much in many cases that Lignosis is a word. It's only going to cost him 5 points in many positions. But it could be that strategically Lignosis becomes of utmost importance to block, and O'Connor fails to do so. This is going to be very, very interesting. We might see many, many turns, depending on what Matthew is able to draw, Tunnicliffe. We might see many turns of him trying to draw something with Lignosis.
Yeah, man, this is frustrating from Matthew Tunnicliffe's perspective. And if you could just score 25 right now and hold on to the S, you'd feel like, okay, I'm keeping myself in range. I'm going to surprise him with a 90 pointer at the bottom of this board, get an extra 5 points, and we'll keep going. But this rack sucks. This rack sucks so much. ELEMI is a way to score points, extending the EL, but that holds IIST. Otherwise, what are you doing? MITI? Oh, I don't know. There's MITIS is a word, but you can't do that. I don't know. Josh, what do you see here? What do you think?
Yeah, this is pretty terrible. We might see just like XI for 11. I don't know if that hits that often. You want to cover that triple maybe in the top left, although it's hard to underlap the P. And he's playing Inti,
Oh
which is such
no!
a huge sacrifice. He's just given up on Lignos as being a thing. Maybe both players now think maybe it doesn't take an S. It's very possible the double blindness has stricken both of these players. When a top expert player does not hook an S onto a word you think takes an S, you start having nightmares. Am I going crazy? Am I just wrong? It's a very bizarre situation here, and I don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to see that S hook this game after Inti.
I mean, Tunnicliffe can still cash 40 or so there, but at this point, you're looking to use that S to bingo instead. Inti, a strange play. I think I preferred time in the top left corner, making STPIOM and RE. That sets up the front Steim hook. Inti knocks out the Lignosis hook. So I think you're right. I think Matthew Tunnicliffe maybe didn't see it or maybe doesn't know it, but if you know Lignosis is good, given the rest of the context in this game, you can't play Inti there, no matter how much equity it may be. And on the last turn, Matthew O'Connor, he dropped JA very quickly, but there's an awesome 6 in that rack of Bajada, Bajada, which I think was probably a smarter play for him as well. But alas, Ja comes down, and then Mercies, the merciful bingo finally from the tile bag for Matthew Tunnicliffe, is going to bring him closer into this game. Mercies is going to be 76 and bring Matthew Tunnicliffe to within 49 points.
Yeah, this has gotten super, super interesting. And I mean, Matt O'Connor probably thinks that there's really very limited risk left on this board, and he's probably going to play something like Flab or Fab, overlapping the M and the E of Mercies. But what's interesting, we see the Z come out. if Matthew Tunnicliffe draws the second blank, we might see a huge possibility with Lignosis once again if that spot is never covered. But right now, he's going to have to deal with some really awkward letters once Matthew O'Connor pretty clearly blocks the was spot that, yeah, Flab is about to block. This is really, really bad for Matthew Tunnicliffe. Oh, he still has a spot for was.
Collins has feel bad, Feelbad. That played through the E. Sorry, I'm just geeking out about that word. That's awesome. But okay, so Flab, I think a very standard move for Matthew O'Connor. After a number of very bizarre moves, I think we're finally settling in, finding our rhythm, and making some more pedestrian plays. WUZ, as Josh said, plays alongside Mercies, making a new. Oh God, a WUZ. I'll be getting the.
Do you have maple syrup, Matt? Do you have any maple syrup?
I did,
but I felt like
yeah.
I don't know. You suffered enough. We've been taking shots of hot sauce every time we say Z instead of Z. But I feel like if you had maple syrup, that'd be a better thing to consume today as the final day. Maybe we could give Matt a break. Maybe give his gut a break.
Only pain, no break. I deserve this for myself. There's another kind of shot I could be taking, but we don't need that. Okay. Anyway, 222 for Matthew Tunnicliffe, 267 for Matthew O'Connor. And Matthew O'Connor now drawing into an awkward rack, Aadeiit. This one is going to be weird for him to fight his way through. You got to play off vowels, but most of the ways you can play those vowels also open the board up, which is not what you're looking to do with this slim lead. I think maybe AINE through the N in Lignos. It's tough to spot, but 15 points doesn't open anything up. That might be a reasonable option for him here, as opposed to doing something reckless like Idea and XI. So he won't be scoring very well this turn. And on the other side, Matthew Tunnicliffe has found the second blank. This one might have some drama, folks.
Yeah, I am so happy to see that blank. Just what Matthew Tunnicliffe needed to stay in this game, as well as this poor draw from Matthew O'Connor. He will spot plays like AINE quite quickly. I think he's just considering whether or not he wants to score a little bit more aggressive here. He is up 45 points, so this is sort of a situation where I think you want to play a lot more conservatively. So I assume that what he's just thinking about is it worth keeping the E on this rack? Because E's, they're pretty good, they're pretty useful, and they're starting to get a bit scarce. So yeah, interesting to see what he comes up with here. As once again, he is lower on the clock than Matthew Tunnicliffe for the second game in a row. It's very bizarre to see this.
Is that right? I show Matthew Tunnicliffe at 10 and Matthew O'Connor at 12.
Oh, sorry. I was reading that at 16. Okay.
Yeah.
No, this is
We've
normal.
Got some interface stuff on our end, making it harder to see both the tiles and the scores. So bear with us, folks. Speaking of bear with us, bear with me as I give the plug one more time. This is the finals of the Canadian Scrabble Classic, brought to you by Let's Play Scrabble. The final 4 rounds here as Matthew comes down with AINE. If you haven't already, please consider liking this video. I expect big crowds today with our special guest, and I'd like to bump this as far up the algorithm as we can. So every like we get on the video helps us do that. We're already at 122 viewers, which is awesome. Let's get as high as we can. And our special guest, if you missed in the chat, is going to be Will Anderson, jumping into the commentary booth for the last 2 rounds today. So don't forget to like this video. And while you're at it, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Let's Play Scrabble channel if you like watching Scrabble on the internet. Lots more Scrabble to come. All right. In any case, AINE is indeed the play we saw from Matthew O'Connor. Matthew Tunnicliffe with that blank, looking to do some damage. No playable bingos for him. TIDDY plays beneath easiness, making ST and SI for 30. NUDDY plays down through the U in rump for 22. And then there are smaller plays like DYE and aped and AY in the bottom left corner. Josh, are you looking to keep your rack as balanced as possible here? Are you looking to try to open up the board? Do you just play TIDDY for 30? There's a lot to think about here. What would you do?
Yeah, I think TIDDY is the play here. If we get the scores updated, Cliffe is down by 60 here. So you
60.
still need to score some score some points. But he is just playing TYND. So now this S hook on Lycnosis completely gone. That is such a bizarre thing. Both players seemingly not aware, or at some points aware, and then chickening out of the S hook on Lignosis in a variety of different ways. I like this play TYND because it keeps an eye with vowels getting a bit scarce, although that's a lot of vowels.
Yeah, what would you
Never
say about
mind.
Val? Okay. Anyway, yeah, he's found a bunch of vowels, but you can be patient in this situation. I don't know that the C in Mercies is going to get obstructed without a huge sacrifice for Matthew O'Connor. So if you don't bingo this turn, you have the opportunity to open a line playing something like XI and IO and try to hit one next turn. I'm not in a rush here. There's not much left to do on this board. So as long as I've got the blank and I can get the bingo at some point, I'm feeling all right. I've just got to make sure Matthew O'Connor doesn't score in the process. How does Matthew O'Connor score this turn? This is a tough one. Highest equity move is something we should not see. That's Urtica, Urtica, and XU for 27. Sometimes Quackle's static plays make you laugh because it's like, given the context, given who Matthew O'Connor is as a player with his defensive tendencies, that's never going to happen. But if that doesn't happen, there's not many ways to keep this board tight and not give back much to your opponent. I think the one sneaky play that does all of that and scores well is Goetic, Goetic. But that's degree of difficulty 9 or 10 out of 10. That's tough to spot. Josh, what are you thinking here?
This is very difficult. Goetic, although does score pretty well, that C is going right on top of a double word score, and so play with CH. Both H's being out will easily reopen the board. I think we might see something like Uric, which is okay. That's exactly what's happening here. Just scoring some points, keeping decently. I don't know how many vowels Matthew O'Connor is going to draw for the rest of this game, but now Tunnicliffe has two clear targets, that C in Uric, that C in Mercies. He's going to be looking to find a bingo through one of those C's in the next couple of moves. So this is going to be very dicey.
Dicey indeed. What I'm worried about if I'm Matthew Tunnicliffe is there are two unseen V's, and Matthew O'Connor could use one of them to just absolutely slam this board shut over the next few turns. So while I see two different C's, it's in the realm of possibilities that both go away, and Matthew O'Connor, the type of player who would make a big sacrifice to make them go away. But I can't be paranoid. I can't be thinking about all that. The other big concern I have is we've only got 8 vowels left already in that pool. So there's a chance that Matthew's in trouble. And if he's not in trouble yet, there's a chance that one of us is in trouble over the next few turns. So if I am Matthew Tunnicliffe, I'm probably just looking to play 2 vowels. I think a play like IO in the bottom left corner makes a ton of sense. I don't know that I need to open the board at this point, but I would be very sad if a V comes down in exactly the right square and just absolutely crushes me.
But here's the deal. Okay, there are lots of bad tiles to come. Lots of consonants, the Q, 2 V's, way too many T's, but Matthew O'Connor has 2 of those. The problem with this board, if you're in the lead, which Matthew O'Connor is that there's many places where a bingo may or may not come down. The W in Was, the C in Mercies, the C or the I in Uric, the I in Inti. You cannot block all of those at once. All you can do is try over multiple moves to get rid of those threats, or just score your way to victory, which is, I think, what Matthew O'Connor has decided to do with the play of Uric. He did have a nice lead. He still has a decent lead. He has drawn an H to score with. So I think this game is going to get very, very close. I don't think Matthew O'Connor can stop all of the threats. I think he needs to just try and score his way to victory.
Yeah, Matthew Tunnicliffe with a very good pull after the IO play we expected, but Matthew O'Connor with a high scoring opportunity at the bottom. HOT or HOUT, both playing down here. Matthew O'Connor opting for HOT, I think, given the unseen cue and the lack of vowels in general. This is the one I prefer as well. You can't get in trouble. So he's going to play hot and sprint away from the table, doing, I guess, some punishment laps around the track. Maybe he showed up late this morning. Just kidding.
Yeah, so just so everyone's aware, there's nothing unbecoming about what just happened. Matthew O'Connor probably just had to use, let's say, the washroom, because we're in Canada, and you're allowed to do that once you've made your play, so that you aren't drawing letters. You don't know what you have. You have way less of a chance of being able to look up words while you're away from the table. So this is perfect etiquette here as we see Radicate come down. Actually, what'll be interesting to see is if Matthew Tunnicliffe, okay, he actually stops the clock. He doesn't have to do that. This is a good sportsmanship, but also it might not be good sportsmanship because that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to start your opponent's clock, even if they need to go. And yeah, because Matthew Tunnicliffe is doing this, it's sort of like collusion, right, Matt? Because you're basically doing something someone else wouldn't be doing. So you're giving your opponent an unfair advantage. Anyways, we won't talk about this too much, but I guess, yeah, this collusion, is a very nice Canadian thing.
I don't want to call this collusion, but the director in me is screaming. I would hate if any player did this in my tournament, especially on the last day. We got to get play going. We got to get folks home. They've got planes to catch, trains to catch. They've got to get back to their kids and loved ones. You can't delay the tournament like this. So the director in me is screaming like, no, clocks are going, especially since this is the stream board. It always runs on a delay anyway, and especially because pairings need these game results to come in. So the director in me would say, just start his clock. I appreciate as a sportsman what Matthew Tunnicliffe is doing. Gentleman move for sure. Absolutely no reason to stop the clock. You don't have to. But the director in me is like, oh my God, please restart it. Please restart it. Now everybody's going to be delayed because Matthew had to go use the bathroom.
You're also playing against one of the fastest players in the world. So it's also just like, do you not think he could finish the game in 2 minutes? Obviously, like, I'm not accusing Matthew Tunnicliffe of doing anything unbecoming. But once again, it's probably not appropriate to stop the clock here. Since all games are running at the same time, they are on a set 1 hour per game schedule. Maybe there is some other emergency. It could be something else, which would merit stopping the clock. But this is a very interesting position now. We're staring into very, very partial knowledge of what's to come. The scores now after Radicate, which I assume is what was just played, 336 to 330 in Matthew Tunnicliffe's favor. And there's going to be 11 in the bag after this play. And what's going to be interesting to see is if Matthew O'Connor manages to draw a key vowel here and maybe even a Q. The Q with that U might come in handy. It might still be a problem to draw the Q. There are no I's left for QI in the top left corner. There's a lot left to see in this game. So I guess on one hand, I am glad that Matthew O'Connor is going to have an appropriate amount of time to deal with this position. On the other hand, I would have started the clock.
All right, so Matthew O'Connor has returned. We'll get those clocks going again. Finally, the director in me is satisfied. You hate to go to the bathroom and come back and see your opponent drop a bingo on you and take the lead for the first time all game. But alas, that's what's happened. And Josh is right. The Q is going to be huge. There's the double cheese spot next to Radicate above Uric right now. The E for eradicate is huge, and Matthew just drew it too. So that's a big tile and a big swing. AADENTU, the rack for Matthew Tunnicliffe, or Matthew
And the
O'Connor.
Q.
And the Q on Matthew Tunnicliffe's rack, as long as the double Chi spot is taken away, I think this is game O'Connor. Let's get the
Oh
pool
my
updated now
goodness.
that O'Connor's actually drawn his tiles. There are 15 unseen, and look at the unseen pool. Unseen to Matthew O'Connor. BDEFGHKNOQRTVVY. Like, wow, you can sit there and do nothing and probably win this game.
Yeah, okay. This is this is troublesome. Okay, so there's 8 in the bag. It's Matthew O'Connor's turn. I do not think that it is right to block the QI spot, by the way.
Oh,
It's
I
not
do.
that big of a threat. I think you want to play 5 tiles or 6 tiles here if you can, maybe underneath HOT, just to leave as few tiles as possible in the bag. Maybe try to keep your E for eradicate. I don't know. This is a complicated position. We see the two commentators disagreeing, but yeah, this is not surface level. There's so much to work out in this position.
I think I've already played DI and DI right there. If I draw the Q, I've got the U and the bailouts, Queen and Eradicator, a number of other options. I want to take away every vowel from my opponent and make them suffer as much as possible. The only thing I'm really concerned about is if a 5-letter word is playable beneath hot for 50, something blank O blank blank Y, horny or something in that vein, that would be bad. But I don't know that I'm looking to obstruct. Yeah, QI can come down for 11, but I'm not letting it come down for 22 instead.
I mean, it's interesting. Like I said, I mean, Matthew O'Connor has the AE combo and the U. So if he does draw the Q right now, he has very good options with it, such as Quare through the blank R of Radicate. So there is something to be said about just keeping the letters you need to defend against the Q. But you're behind by 6. The Q might still become a factor later when you no longer have the option to play Quare. There are some threats through the D and Eradicate as well, like Voddy, Voddy. And it's not very likely that Matthew Tunnicliffe will have drawn a 5-letter word underneath the OT of hot because there are only 2 unseen vowels with a Y as well. So the likelihood that something like honey comes down underneath is pretty low. I still think I would consider mostly trying to play 5 letters here underneath OT, but I don't know if there's a great way to do that and keep a U and an E.
I mean, there's a ton of different long options if you're looking to play long. Okay, quick question for you, Josh. In Matt's position right now, Matthew O'Connor's position, looking at this pool, looking at your 6-point deficit, what percent do you think he is to win this game?
I think he's around 70 to 80%, maybe 80,
Yeah.
82% to win the game. I'm actually seeing the option of Adnate, ADNATE, overlapping the RAD. That might be an interesting choice to keep the U for the Q, but I don't know what I would do here.
No, you've got to keep vowels. Okay, if you draw a vowel next turn, you were going to win this game anyway. If Matthew Tunnicliffe doesn't have any vowels or only has one, you're going to win this game. So you have to assume and prepare for the worst case scenario, which is you're drawing entirely consonants for the rest of this game. Otherwise, you're going to win anyway. You need to keep your vowels, in my opinion, here, no matter what. I think we're playing consonants. I think we're playing obstruction, and I think we're playing patience. I don't want to draw the B, the K, the G, the V's, the Y. This is a very hard turn, and he's going to play off the U and play Daunt and just try to score some points. Okay.
I like this play. I like this play. Even if he draws the Q, he does have the spot for it, but it's going to come down instantly. Matthew O'Connor now is up by 1. No, it's a tie game now, right? Oh my goodness.
Tie game, but advantage huge O'Connor right now, given it's his
Oh, he
turn.
got the
He's got
E.
the bell. Oh, okay. That is a huge draw for Cliffe. There's one vowel left in the bag. I'm going to go get it. That's what he said, and that's what he got. But Matthew O'Connor still has big eradicate plays available. BYKE and eradicate is 37. I fail to see like good paths to victory here for Cliffe, but maybe I don't know. Can
It's
he
the
win
V.
after Bike?
The V is so bad though. You have to I think you really want to play the V here if you're Matthew O'Connor. There's two in the bag from Matthew O'Connor's perspective. He's getting low on time too. I wonder if those 3 minutes he would be down to almost no time at all right now if his clock had been started, or maybe even he would be overtime. I wonder if this is going to be the game. This is such a tough position. I really want to play my V off though if I can.
Yeah, I mean, BEVY and eradicate is a play you can't make. You can't throw the Y out in that triple line. That's how you lose in this situation. Quackle has BYKE 100% to win, but not if you play it with eradicate. It wants it played over next to Sporan for 34, making AB and ONY. That, according to Quackle's championship player, is the only play here that is 100% to win. And I guess that gives you enough possible plays with your V, or maybe Quackle's not entirely right on its analysis here.
I very, very highly doubt that the analysis is correct. Although we do potentially have a stronger engine that somebody else could be using in the chat to determine this position here. Probably not going to happen. That'd be really cool. But this is, yeah, BYKE is a very strong play. I don't see it losing very often at all. So yeah, with 2 minutes on the clock, he spots it, putting him up by big. But what's unseen but the F and the N? How is Matthew O'Connor going to get rid of both the F and the V next turn?
Wow, the answer I think is he's not. And according to Quackle, Matthew Tunnicliffe has won the game if he plays it right.
Like I said, this is crazy stuff. Is Hoved good with biked? Is that a play?
Hoved and biked, or VERD and biked, are the two winning plays per the engine.
Wow. Yeah. This is the strength
And
of
Hoved
going
is
out
so
before
easy.
your opponent. Because this saves
This is why you don't
GRR.
play Daunt. This is why you don't play Daunt, I feel. Like, you end up getting caught with BKVW, all the crap, the FVBK combination. Don't go digging into a bag full of landmines and garbage. Keep your gems, even though they only score one. I think Matthew O'Connor has made like 9 mistakes this game, and finally he's been punished for them. I think Matthew Tunnicliffe has played a wonderful game, despite some clunk and ELOE at the beginning of the game. Those were interesting and maybe non-standard decisions, but wow, props to Matthew Tunnicliffe for continuing to fight. He's got to find one more winning sequence, but Hoved holding GR is so obvious.
Wow. Yeah, he's already spotted it. He might not be 100% sure that it's a valid play or that it's a winning play, but he has almost 5 minutes to work this out. This should be enough time. What an insane game. He's seen it again. He's considering it again. If he spots the GRR spot with Jag, I think that'll be enough to tell him this has to be right. Wow. Oh my
Yeah, you've got
goodness.
to find a GRR to go out after this in order to win. Matthew O'Connor's best play in that end game would be FANK down to the K, and the only winning out for Tunnicliffe would be GRR and Jag. So he's got to spot that. But if he's able to make this sequence, should be winning for him. Here it comes. Wow. Wow. So Matthew Tunnicliffe making Canada proud at the Canadian Scrabble Classic. Assuming he finds the correct out here, he's going to hang on to win this game narrowly. This one was bonkers.
Definitely on hold, I think. Also, yeah, just going back to that play of Daunt, I find it hard to argue with Matt Canik on this one. I think Matt is maybe the best slow playing player in North America. You're so good at complicating positions, keeping things really, really difficult for your opponent. I don't know. I still would have played Daunt. I think that E draw after QI was so important for Matt Tunnicliffe. He could have drawn any consonant and he would have been dead here. Crazy
But
stuff.
what did I say? Look, if the only way Matthew O'Connor is losing this game is if Matthew Tunnicliffe gets the vowels. That's what happened. You can't set yourself up to lose in an opportunity where your opponent gets the vowels. You can't play 5 tiles, draw the consonants, let your opponent draw the vowels, and win the game. I think it was a huge mistake to play Daunt there, and it's going to cost him the game.
But what do you mean? I don't really understand. I don't want to argue. What do you mean? I mean, playing 5 tiles means you're drawing the vowels more often, right? So that your opponent can't draw them.
Yeah, but if you don't draw the vowels, you lose. You're in a commanding position. Just stay where you are. Anyway, we can rehash this more when I'm not streaming and trying to entertain 156 simultaneous viewers. Definitely something to look at. Matthew O'Connor is going to challenge. I think he has to do that in this situation. He knows he's dead otherwise. So check. Make sure the hook is good. That's going to be a nickel thrown towards Matthew Tunnicliffe, 5 extra points. And Matthew, again, had to know he's dead. FANK is not going to outrun GRR. Man, what a game. So Fank going to come down, and Matthew Tunnicliffe going to go out with his GRR play. That's what it looks like. Fank will put Matthew O'Connor ahead 417 to 402, but GRR for 15, holding on to or catching 10 points off Matthew O'Connor's rack. That's it for this one. Unless maybe he's thinking about slow playing this. Is there a V stick just to be mean?
I just think he might not have ever spotted GRR. Like, it would have come down already, right? I think he's maybe gonna play Frog here. I don't know. Is he trolling us? It's such a hard play to spot. It could be he played Hove just hoping that it was good enough, not knowing for sure. And now that he's gotten the 5 points, he knows he's in a winning position. But maybe he still doesn't see it. Okay. Woo!
Just go back and recount the entire game, maybe. Add some suspense to the stream. Wow. All right, so GRR is 15 plus 10 for Matthew O'Connor, makes this 427 Tunnicliffe, 417 O'Connor. What a wild one. There's a game that back and forwards, Tunnicliffe was looking dead at certain points, especially after that Q draw, and yet he fought back, stayed calm, didn't tilt after like 8 different tilt-inducing draws and situations, and comes up with a huge victory. Tunnicliffe now will proceed to 10-2. Matthew O'Connor down to 8-4. Going into this round, it was these two and Jason Keller, who is also at 8-3, who looked like they may be able to win the Collins Field. So Jason Keller now with a big score yet to come in. We'll see how the drama unfolds in the CSW division. But in any case, a huge win for Matthew Tunnicliffe, defending his Canadian soil. While we are here, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. The more likes we get, the more people end up watching Scrabble on this sunny Sunday. So let's get some likes on there. Subscribe to the Let's Play Scrabble channel. Josh Greenway runs a lot of tournaments right here, so you can watch live Scrabble play, and he cuts them into digestible VODs after the tournament. So if you like Scrabble, or you think you might like Scrabble, this is the channel to be. Let's Play Scrabble. We have 3 more games coming in this tournament, and we teased a surprise guest. I think we're just going to bring him in now, right? I'm too excited to wait any longer on this. Let me get confirmation from my production team. But yes. All right. So special guest Will Anderson will be joining us in the commentary booth for the last 3 rounds. That is so exciting, so awesome. I'm starstruck. We are going to take a brief break before we do that to get everything reconfigured and 3 commentators in the box. Next round will be an NWL game. Joey Malik and Christopher Sykes have a huge game those two have isolated themselves from the rest of the field. So this is going to be a major game for them as well. And another storyline of Canada versus the US at the Canadian Scrabble Classic. We are going to cut to just a brief break, but don't go anywhere. The players are ready to go. We just got to get Will configured, my coffee topped off, and we'll have more Scrabble coming your way. Y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. 3 games remain at the Canadian Scrabble Classic from Belleville, Ontario, and 3 commentators are now in the booth as me and Josh Sokol are going to be joined by none other than the great Wanderer 15, Will Anderson. Will, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today?
Doing great. That was a banger. That first game of the day. I was on the edge of my seat. You guys did awesome.
Yeah, I'm exhausted by that one. It's going to be hard to top, and yet topping that is exactly what we're going to try to do here. The next matchup, we're going to bring you an NWL game. Christopher Sykes, Joey Malik. I believe the players are already set down and over the board. So let's cut over the action, show y'all where they are in the standings. Chris Sykes played Joey last round and got a big, big victory. I think they're going to play all 4 of their games together against one another today, as they're so far ahead of the rest of the field. If Chris is able to win this game and win big, it's going to take an uphill climb. Joey's going to have 2 massive victories over Chris to have any chance. So almost a do or die situation here for Joey Malik. He needs to win to keep his hopes alive. And Chris Sykes, wearing all red to represent Canada, his homeland, he would love to win this one here. Let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get some tiles on the board. Let's play some Scrabble. Oh, I'm so excited for this one.
Josh, are you feeling some national pride here rooting for Chris, or where are your rooting interests for this game?
Nowhere to be found. I am completely and utterly unbiased, Will, as you know.
Of course.
All right, off to the races here. ACEEHNO, the pull for Joey Malik. I don't see any bingos here, and there will be some scoring opportunities, but this is going to be a fun turn, I think. I don't think this is one that Joey Malik will play very quickly. Will, what are you looking to do here as Joey Malik?
It's tough because you've got some good bingo tiles here, maybe one too many vowels on your rack. Definitely ways to use that CH combination, and Joey has just arranged his tiles into what I was about to suggest, which was Hans. Scores well, but you hate to come away from this turn with just EO as the leave, but I think that's where I would be leaning here. Looks like he has Cohen set up on his rack. Not in this lexicon.
Yeah, Cohen is a Collins.
Oh, look at Chris's Wanderous 15. Thank you, Chris.
Very good. All right, so Hans is indeed going to be the play for Joey Malik. Achene, Achene, another option, same score, but plays off one more vowel. So I think that's a missed opportunity for Joey on that opening turn. We'll see if he gets into vowel treble. There's an S that's going to help him, STDD. Okay, so could have gone worse for him, but Hans, 28 points, puts Joey Malik ahead by exactly that margin, and ADNORUW, the rack for Christopher Sykes, looking to respond. Josh Sokol, what are you looking at doing here as Chris Sykes?
Yeah, Chris Sykes was definitely hoping for a T here for untoward outdrawn. I think there's a meme on the internet, Nigel Richards meme, where it's basically quoting some rap song. The only question I ever thought was hard was, do I play outdrawn or untoward? I don't know if anybody knows that lore, but it's a pretty funny one. Want to get rid of the WU here. I wonder if the C hook on Hans is ever going to come up. Never mind. There are no WC words that I can think of. Oh, snowcats. Yeah, we're definitely going to see snowcats later on this game.
That just blocks Stounded, though. So now Joey's going to have to think a little harder.
Oh, wow. Yeah, big block there from Chris Sykes. I like to say this on stream, and I'm going to say it again. Bear with me if you've heard it before. If you could play wood, you probably should. And so that's what he opts to do here. Unwon, UNWON, down to the N, another option. But he takes away Stounded. Joey Malik now no playable bingos, but a 9-point lead, 28-19, DDEOSTU. And I think we're going to see a pretty straightforward move here. DOUT feels fine on top of wood, making duh and oda. Will, do you see any compelling reason not to play DOUT here?
No, it seems good. Definitely want to come away from this turn using one of those two Ds and the U. That play accomplishes that. Of course, you've got 7 tiles, which are mostly good bingo tiles. So ideally, you would want to come away using as few of those as possible. But there's no real way to just play your D and your U by itself. You're going to have to get a couple more tiles into the act there. So I think this does look like a pretty standard play. The nice thing also is that if you miss your bingo draw as Joey and you draw some high point consonants, you are setting up your S in a way that maybe you can score really well to that triple, that top middle triple of the board, with 6 tile plays hooking that S if he draws high scoring consonants. So definitely like this play for Joey.
Yeah, DOUT, set up that S, keep a good leave, score some points. It does all of the things you'd like it to do, and Joey Malik agrees as he makes it. That puts him ahead 46 to 19, but Chris Sykes has gone into the bag, found 3 O's and a blank, so no playable bingos here, but he'll be in range next turn for sure. I think we're just looking to play off 2 of the O's. The best way to do that is the sneaky little Toco, Toco, for 8 points. Josh, any other plays that jump out to you, or is this got to be Toco?
No, I actually think New is better. He's playing it. I don't know if he spotted Toko. I think he wants to keep the board way more open for his bingo tiles. He's setting up his N hook very aggressively. This does have its drawbacks, but I think the aggression and taking, 3 fewer points here is worth it. It saves the A for AT on top of doubt. And saves the E to stay open. I really like this decision. I don't know if it was between Toko and New for Chris Sykes, but regardless, I think this is the correct play.
Yeah, Will, what do you think? Would you play Toko, score 3 more points, or would you play New and shape the board the way you want it to be shaped if you're in bingo range?
It's interesting. I totally agree with Josh's instinct. I'm just wondering, though, after Toko, is there really a way for Joey to play anything productive that doesn't open a little bit of space for Chris to be able to bingo on his next turn? Maybe there is, maybe just a simple overlapping play somewhere, maybe even alongside the 2 O's of Toko through the E of Hants. Maybe there's a way Joey can play there in a way that gives nothing back to Chris. I just think the board on Chris's next turn after Toko is likely to have more opportunity than it looks on this turn, but at the same time, I really do not fault taking an active role in shaping the board the way you want. So I might have opted to be patient and just play Toko and just put Joey in a tough spot, knowing that if he opens, I'm ready to strike, but very stylistic choice.
Wow.
I just love the shape of the board after Toko. I love how Joey has no options, but we're going to see 2 vowels and then 2 other vowels, and then Chris Sykes wasting no time. He's got 1 playable bingo, or 1 playable double-double, I should say. Tons of bingos, but the only double-double, 90 points. So this goes back to the strength of that NOO play. Set up the N and then crush it. You're not expecting to double-double with the N in the second spot, but it's certainly in the realm of possibilities. He's going to cash in huge. 90 points for the double-double. Wow, big swing. And Chris Sykes surges ahead, 114 to 51.
We need a DJ Khaled sound effect for when somebody plays another one.
Whoa,
all right.
This is interesting. Again, I don't know. I might have sacrificed a few points here to play YA instead to set up a better lane for myself if I were Joey. I'm not really sure about just AY. I guess it's fine.
Scores a little better with that H, and there already is that lane he just made with AI, so maybe he's content with that. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, very hasty decision though.
You just play like a 4-letter word where the 3rd tile backhooks AI. Like, now there are no bingo opportunities on the board. Another takes no backhooks. Like, I think you need to try to open things a little bit better there if you're Joey. ADEST is a great leave. You need to make sure that your bingos are going to come down. So stalled, what he drew, does play in the one spot right now, but after your opponent plays AI and then AY, like, you're going to block unless you're like a robot, right? So I at least I feel like that decision was, if nothing else, a little rushed. Just grab the equity and move on. But you got to think about board dynamics here too. All right, EIJORTY for Christopher Sykes here, and yeah, what is the psychology going through a player's head after you see AI for 5 and then AY, Will?
Well, the most psychological move that Chris could make here is to play Joey's name somewhere. He has to play Joey here to get inside Joey's head. No, just kidding. The psychology, as you allude to, Matt, when you see just AI go down, AY, I should say. Actually, we can even take it 2 turns back. Joey's last 2 moves have been AI and AY. So you definitely know that he's got 5 tiles he really likes, or else he would have likely tried to play more. So knowing that, it definitely informs your decision making. I'm just not really seeing a great way for him to, oh my God, is this a... Okay.
Oh
That
my
was
gosh.
almost a tremendous unforced lexicon error there by Chris. You see him laughing about it, Josh. Wow, that was close to a blunder.
Oh my gosh. I for sure thought he had played that. It's I don't think Chris Sykes plays much CSW, if any. So it's very surprising to see Jay out on the board. Maybe he's been watching the stream.
So Joy, what he's looking to play here, yeah, there weren't many great plays that he had to obstruct the bingo line. I kind of liked YER above AY. YER just takes 1 back hook, a K, that would force Joey to bingo back hooking AI with the last letter of his bingo and expose a triple word square. So you're going to hold that J, thwack a triple if he does bingo on you. I think YER was a really awesome option there. But Joy, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. EIRT is a great leave. You're scoring a bunch of points, and your opponent almost definitely does not have the O to hit you back because of the previous 2 plays and the context around him. He's been fishing and fishing and fishing. You're not going to fish with an O, I don't think. So anyway, Joy the play, stalled the response, and Chris Sykes now has found a very nice rack, EEGINRT. He will be bingoing this turn with one of the 2 sevens in that rack, either integer or its anagram treeing. So back and forwards, Joey hits a baby bingo, Chris will hit a baby bingo back and pull back ahead in this one. And whoa, ABGIKNW is a neat little wing back, a neat little pull for Joey Malik there. What? This is going to be fun, I think. This is going to be a fun one.
The immediate thing that comes to my mind is that BAWK is a valid word. And if you're like many Scrabble players that do not study the definitions of words, it's going to be sorely tempting for Joey to play balking. It just kind of looks like a word, right? BAWKING. Balk is a valid word. Depending on where Chris plays, it's possible that it might be unlikely if Chris plays something ending in ing forming ain, A-I-N. That's going to take away the spot I see where balking would play on top of the AY on another there. It's just, if I'm in Joey's shoes, I would be thinking about that right now.
And we've already seen Joey Malik earlier in this tournament take a 4, throw the ing on the back of it against Chris Sykes and get away with it. He played PEANING earlier, and Chris did not hold it. But that was a different situation. Chris had just lost a turn on a phony bingo, and Joey instantly played it. So we'll see if he takes a play out of his playbook and does exactly the same thing. I don't think the option's going to stay available, though. Yeah, treeing beginning to come down here like we thought was going to happen. And that is going to eliminate the chance at balking. If Chris Sykes had chosen the higher scoring integer and IT, this would be a different situation. I'd be very curious to see what Joey does. But treeing the play from Chris Sykes, I like this. Puts him ahead 210 to 148 and takes away any of the exciting opportunities for balking.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy, honestly. Like, I was expecting to see integer come down, and then I don't know what would have happened. Would Joey have played balking and git? Would Chris Sykes have challenged that? That it could have been a repeat of what we saw earlier, but treeing for the 3-point sacrifice just blocks the spot that Joey already had for the phony, and now waking is just super easy. So I think both players, or one of both players, has avoided a ticking time bomb in this position.
So waking is 60 points for Joey Malik. He's going to basically get a bingo score back, but he can't be thrilled to leave that bottom triple word line available. You have to take the points here, of course, but with that big Z pull from Chris Sykes, he will be scoring either 54 FUZE or 57 FUZEE on that bottom triple now.
Matt, you said Z and then you said Z twice. How could you?
Oh boy.
That's 3 swigs of hot sauce. 3 swigs.
Yeah. All right.
Was that the deal? I'm not adhering. Yeah, I did not agree to that, for the record.
Excuse me, you're in my country, boys.
I better be careful.
But okay. So FUZE versus FUZEE. Chris Sykes going back and forwards, and I think he's going to play the E, just take the extra points here. Looking at vowel consonant ratio, we've got a balanced pool, so just kind of do whichever one here. I like taking points in a situation like this, but you could definitely go either way there. Joey Malik, BCOPPRS on his rack. And he's going to have to take a philosophical, or make a philosophical decision about this game. Do I play smaller, bop, through the O and noon plays, just play the B and the P for 20, and hold COPRS with a floating E available? That looks pretty strong. Or go ahead and play very long right now, boppers or coppers, play through the E and treeing for 32. Do I want points now? Or do I want to bring my rack closer to a bingo? CPORS with a floating E, a floating T, looks so promising. Can kind of split the difference and play pre-op through the E and treeing as well. Josh, between these options, what are you thinking here?
I love the play of bop. Looks like Joey is just going to take the points here. I think that core CORPS leave is just so strong on this board. And even if you don't draw into a bingo, you're going to be able to do something nice, maybe with the J, enjoy, job, something like, or not job, but something with JO. I don't know. I think that bop play is a missed opportunity, but taking boppers, just like the music that we're hearing between games, yeah, I like this choice as well.
All right, so Bopper's the play, 240 to 267, and Chris Sykes has drawn into hot garbage, GIIMTTV on this rack. And man, even just looking at the generated plays, this is a sad turn. I think maybe timid through the I and waking is his strongest option here, but everything sucks for Chris this turn. Will, do you see anything for him to do?
This is a pretty gross. What did you say, Matt? The exact verbiage? It's hot garbage. Yeah, that's pretty apt. When timid, a play like timid, which itself is somewhat self-descriptive, such a low-scoring play that also doesn't really obstruct anything useful. It is kind of a timid play, but it might actually be his best play here. I think it's interesting, too, that G of waking, to a point that Josh likes to make pretty often, that the G is just not that great of a tile. If it was such a good tile, it would be a little bit easier to make plays through that G to the triple word score. But you can see that's sat open now for several turns. And looking at Joey's rack, he may play MIG, I guess, through that G, but it could sit open several more turns at this rate.
Yeah, man, this is rough for Chris. And you're looking at the unseen pool. There's still 4 more I's. I'm scared of drawing those, but there's a lot of E's and A's, which seem to offer relief to almost any leave that you're going to keep out of this turn. Vims, or timid. Both make sense, but he's going to play timid here. I think I like this. You've got to just try to break up as much of this rack as you can. Go find an E, go find an R, go find an N. All of that's going to help you. Or try to find that blank if you can. A big draw for Chris here. He's got to get out of these unbalanced racks and keep the scoring going. What's he going to pull? ITV. He's pulled another V.
Oof.
There's an N, an O, and another N. Yikes. Not the draw Chris was hoping for. And Joey quickly dropping MIGG, holding CESX. That's an awesome play for him to keep really solid tiles and put the scoring pressure back on. INNOTVV for Chris Sykes, who has a 10-point lead after the timid and mid sequence. And goodness, I mean, I might just exchange my entire rack right here. I maybe hold an N since I've got the last two, but I don't want to be slogging through V's and double N's the rest of this game. I don't see any plays to score or to play the V's off. There's Vino to the O in noon for 14, holding NOTV. There's Nova for 9 between another and stalled. Like, this turn sucks. That draw was one of the worst thing that could have happened. Will, what do you do? Do you exchange? Do you try to score some points just to nurse your lead? Like, how do you get out of this mess?
Yeah, I'm sorely tempted to exchange a lot of tiles here. I think it's tempting maybe to leave. If you're going to exchange, you might want to keep some kind of nice little nucleus together for next turn, like IN or IT or something. INT feels a little, like it doesn't really help that much. That's the type of leave that's a little bit better with a more open board than you have here. I really feel like I would be tempted to throw everything back and go hard for that second blank, because I really need to get my hands on that here, knowing that if Joey has kind of an average turn on his next turn, I'm going to be trailing on the scoreboard almost no matter what if I'm Chris here. So it's tempting. Those plays that you listed are all kind of middling. They still leave you a V on the rack. I might want to use this opportunity to exchange and reset things right now.
One other play that stands out maybe is VINO and TO alongside timid. That does potentially get hit back on that double letter, triple word sequence. Fave or five is a very common play. Cave as well is something you're giving up. But I don't know, Josh, would you play Vino? Would you play Ova? Would you exchange? Tell us what your thought process is here.
Well, people who know me know that I do not exchange pretty much, but here I would. The unseen letters are just so much better than what Chris Sykes has. There are those 2 S's, 3 R's, the T, the L's, the A's, the E's, the blank. The only bad tile in that pool is the Q and maybe that 1 U. I think the unseen letters are so good that you really need to race for what's left of the bingo tiles with your small lead. So I would exchange here for sure. I think I would exchange all the way down to NT in this position.
Yeah, there's half vowels, half consonants left, so I am never keeping the I here. I would keep either N or NT, and that's kind of a mood-based decision for me. There is one more T, so I could duplicate, but that's not a death sentence. I really want to play every tile I can to try to draw the blank, but every tile I turn over is also a chance at that Q, which is going to stop me from bingoing. So I don't know. I think I'd exchange 6 down to the N here and see where that takes us. If I draw the Q, I've got QI bailouts next to timid and C, but this is a very challenging turn. Vino makes sense in either spot. Exchanging makes sense here too as well, but I see a lot of good stuff in the bag. I want to go get it. He's going to exchange 7. It looks like he's thinking about changing all 7. You've got to hold an N. You're going to end up drawing vowels if you exchange all 7.
It looks like he's considering on the fly, like he's... Oh, he's kept an O. Interesting.
Maybe J-O he wants to keep in play. I'm not really sure why you keep the O here. There's too many vowels, but we'll see. Okay. He's got to dodge. Yeah, it's not the worst. Ooh!
Whoa! Oh my goodness!
All right, baby.
Oh my goodness!
Now we're cooking with
Will,
gas.
explain this play.
Well, so this is a beautiful play by Joey. He's played Zhu for a score of just 20 points here. The beautiful thing about it, though, is he has the X, and there is no other hook to this word. Jeux is valid. Of course, Joey could have scored very well by tacking the X on this move, but it would have given Chris really easy counterplay to the X, just hitting a simple play to the triple in the lower left part of the board. So by leaving the X off, he's denied Chris the opportunity to get those easy points and hugely increased his own score when he plays fix, very likely, on his next turn, hooking that X. Very, very clever play by Joey here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. And he holds FIX. He's guaranteed to hit it. It's almost impossible to block. And Chris, I think, is focused on looking at other things and maybe not aware of the setup. JEU looks like such a strong play if you're in vowel trouble. And with that pool, vowel trouble is very likely in the cards for you. So sneaky setup. And Joey played it so fast, too. That's awesome heads up stuff. Back to Chris, who now trails by 10 after several poor pulls in a row. He will have playable bingos here, but all of them are scary for one reason or another. Highest scoring option plays through the T at the top of the board. That is Detonate for 64, or Out Eaten also plays for 64. Neonate or Acetone play as sevens, making TE on the right side. Those score 62 or 60. And plays through the S in Boppers score 59. Earstone or its anagram Resonate. So all of the bingos will put you ahead, but not ahead by a bunch. And you just threw back what I call it hot garbage. So you're going to draw that stuff back out. Is he just going to play his rack in alphagram order?
That was so
like
funny.
Almost.
Okay, so Acetone, what he's choosing, he likes putting the C here, I think, because it makes it impossible to overlap with a bingo of Joey's own. So Acetone for 60, the play for Chris Sykes, and Joey ACEFISX gets a number of big punishes now. He set up his X, but he can play fix next to Acetone for 59 instead. And that's, I think, what we're going to see here.
Yeah, I think he's going to put down fix and JEUX and then switch it just to tell Chris Sykes, this is what I did last turn. You had no idea. And then he's going to play it in the more defensive position. Or maybe not. Maybe he's a bit more serious and he's just going to play it next to the ETO. It's a very interesting position. Unfortunately, Chris Sykes has just drawn the Q. So after this play, Joey Malik's going to be ahead by almost 10 points. And Chris Sykes might have to just drop his Q. This is getting really interesting.
This should be a good game, down to the wire. Yeah, FIX and JEUX is 57. You'd love to hit your own setup, but you have to take away the triple word square on the side, score 59. That's what Joey's done. FIX comes down, ACES, a nice leave. We'll see if he's able to dodge the V's and the I's in the pool. One V would be okay for him. Two V's would be terrible. Let's see what he's got as AEINRRQ, the rack for Chris Sykes. And I think we're just going to see a Chi Bomb in one of two places. Wow, what a great pull for Joey Malik.
So now Chris would be sorely tempted to just dump that Q, knowing he's got a great leave to pair with the T of treeing, right? Trainer, retrain. That's going to become bingos a lot. But Joey's now drawn a beautiful set of tiles that's going to beat him to the race to get that down. I guess there is still the S of boppers as a possibility depending on where Joey plays and what Joey picks. But things looking pretty good for Joey here.
But there's Trank. There's Trank.
Yeah,
Trank would have solved everything, solved all the issues.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, what a miss. Yeah, that's such a hard play to spot. I think you need to play Trank here for 28 from the T and treeing. Oh my goodness.
Trank did everything you need to do. It holds EIN, which isn't a great leave in a vacuum, but with 5 vowels, 10 consonants unseen, and the threat of bingos, oh man, Trank did everything you needed to do. I think maybe a rushed turn there for Chris, and it's going to cost him the game. scariest now on Joey's rack. He's already seen it, and he's wasting no more time before he plays this one. Scariest is 62, and we'll put Joey ahead 414 to 366.
But
Wow.
Joey has to avoid maybe those two V's.
Oh my God!
This is very
LLOVV.
I think he still has enough, but he has Vav for 9. Essentially, I think that is what is going to determine the game because he has Vox as well from to the OX. I think he still has enough to win this game, but this is a scary draw.
Wow, yeah, Joey's got to be shaking in his boots.
Sorry, any play to that E of scariest is going to block Vav. So that's going to be where Chris is looking to start if he's got anything that goes all the way. I guess he doesn't really have an easy way. No, he can play bear on top there.
Hang on. I've got to interject. He's got B-boppers for 34. And that blocks Vav, too.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh. But I'm trying to calculate here. I mean, what happens after bear and then RIN? Is that going to give Chris enough? He's down 48. Bear would score 32. He'd be down 16. Vox would score 17. He'd be down 33. RINS is what I see. 28. I think that Chris Sykes is lost in this position, even if he spots the amazing play of Beboppers, but it's going to get dangerously close.
Yeah, if everything goes out the way Quackle thinks, BEAR above scariest, the obvious play for Chris Sykes, and then VOX, the response from Joey. Chris can go out with iron through the O in noon with that IRN combination, and will lose by 4. So BEAR, just a slightly losing sequence if everything goes exactly the way we expect. I wonder if there's a sneakier, like slow play, maybe a V-stick opportunity in this situation. If you take away Vav now and then take away Vox next turn, are there other spots for the V?
Yeah, this is fine. If you play like something like Beboppers and then we see the Vino come down through the IO, scariest and boppers, you're going to have Vox and VOE at the bottom left. So Joey is actually, because of that O, not V stuck. So yeah, this is so close to being a win for Chris Sykes, but yet so far, what a crazy endgame.
So another play in the chat is a test of Abri, right, Matt?
Yeah, ABRI is also there. That's the one other sequence I was about to point out. ABRI to Vox, and then Chris can go out with his ERN combo playing Reno, RENO, and NAYS. That's also going to lose for him by 6 points instead of 4. So taking away Vav, scoring a bunch on the top is what Chris wants to do, but VOX is just barely going to score enough for him to hang on in this game.
Wow, just crazy. That's amazing. I mean, Trank would have been so compelling. I'm actually surprised that Chris played Chi. I get the rationale there, blocking that triple in the upper right of the board. I would have been sorely tempted to just drop my Q, but coming up with Trank would have been such a big difference. That being said, Joey would still be in decent shape if Chris drew V's, right? So by playing more tiles, 2 more tiles Chris would have played by playing Trank instead of Chi. Maybe he picks one or both of those 2 V's, and he's the one that's hurting. And Joey also would have had plays pluralizing Tranks that put him in good position going into the end game. So it wouldn't have been like an auto win, but it certainly would have made things so interesting.
All right, so Chris Sykes trying to slow play here with just Ab. I don't know if he's spotted Vav or he's hoping maybe Joey is missing Vav. The thing here is, okay, after this, I think 392 to 414. The thing here is that Chris Sykes, very, very unconventional sort of game for him because he's super low on time. Both of these players very, very fast, but Joey just had the speed this game. Chris Sykes had those really awkward racks mid-game after Fuse. So he was really low on the clock, even just right after Scariest. I think he had under 5 minutes to figure this endgame out, which is a very, very complicated one. So he's just hoping here, I think, that some complications arise and he's able to go out maybe in 3 and score as much as possible. But I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah. There's no actual winning sequence unless you induce a blunder from Joey, and this in-game sequence looks so straightforward. Like Vox, just play Vox. Chris threatens just 1 out, and that's through the S in Bopper's Rinser, and just Vox alone is enough to outrun Rinser. So this is Joey's game, unless he does something wild. Yeah, Vav is another fine play for him to make. I think it achieves the same exact outcome. But I wonder now that Joey doesn't have any scoring opportunities or scoring tiles, should Chris go out? The answer is no. Chris shouldn't go out. But he still can't win the game.
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, this is what Chris was hoping for, something like this where he can go out in multiple turns, but it's just not enough. Joey's gotten rid of all of his clunky Vs, both of his clunky Vs, and there's really just neither. Chris Sykes also doesn't have any scoring tiles. So yeah, this is over.
Yeah, I was going to just add, if the clocks were reversed, you might see some shenanigans to be able to, if Chris was the one with 15 minutes or 14 minutes on his clock or a huge amount of time on his clock, now would be the time for him to make a surprising move. The problem is Joey's got tons of time to figure out any gambit that Chris makes here, and Joey is really, really good in endgame situations. So it's just it's not in the cards for Chris here, but man, what a game.
Yeah, so he's just going to go out with Rinser. No reason to slow play this. He's low on time, and Rinser going to score 7 points, catch Joey with 4 on his rack times 2 is 8. The final in this one, 423 to 407 in favor of Joey. So now these two gents are going to play 2 games, and we're in a situation essentially where if Chris wins even one of the next 2, as long as he avoids a blowout in the other one, he still probably wins this tournament on spread. Joey may need to win both games, or he'll need a massive victory in one of them because he won by such a narrow margin here. There's a lot of drama building in this tournament. Joey and Chris at the top of the NWL field. Joey's going to have an uphill battle, but that was a great game. He kept fighting and able to win it despite getting double blanked. And the CSW field, drama aplenty as well over there. Because this game was played so quickly by Joey Malik, we might have a small pause between this game and the next game. In that pause, I would like each of you who are watching with us today to smash that like button if you haven't already. Let's get bumped up the YouTube algorithm. Let's get as many people watching Scrabble this weekend as possible. We welcome everybody who rolled on over from the Wanderer 15 or Will Anderson channel. Welcome to Live Scrabble. This is where the magic happens. And then Will goes back and makes these incredible educational, entertaining videos over some of the coolest games of the tournament. Subscribe to the channel. This is where so much Scrabble gets streamed. Let's Play Scrabble or Let's Play Scrabble.com. And let's go ahead and talk about another major upcoming tournament. That would be the Montreal tournament that Josh and his team put on. It's going to be May 24th to 26th in Montreal, Canada. And it's going to be an awesome tournament, huge prize pool as well, a generous 5,000 American dollar donation from Word Game Players Organization or WIGPO, as well as 2,500 Canadian dollars offered to the prize fund. Tons of money to be had at that tournament, and I believe it's going to be distributed fairly well across different divisions as well. So whether you're a top expert looking to maybe make a name for yourself and win some cash, or Division 2, 3, or 4, come on out. Enjoy Montreal. It's beautiful there in May. I've been. Maybe make a whole Canadian excursion. Play Jason and Sue's Niagara Falls tournament the weekend before, and then head on down to Montreal, eat some poutine, do some Canadian things, enjoy that crisp Canadian springtime. Oh man, There's so much cool Scrabble coming up on the radar. Will, any final thoughts before we cut to a little intermission?
Just want to say these games have been pretty uniformly awesome. That's not always the case. You don't know what you're going to get when you sit down with two really good players to play Scrabble. Hopefully it continues. We've been spoiled with several incredibly close games, and fingers crossed it continues going into the break.
Yeah, fingers crossed it continues. We had some drubbings day one and early day two, but we are making up for all of that drama today. We've had 2 excellent games and 2 more to come your way. We'll take a brief break. Y'all don't go anywhere. 2 more games of Scrabble in just a minute. See y'all soon. Longest break ever. Thanks for the patience, everybody. We're trying to get those players wrangled, and we appreciate your patience. The last day of a tournament, you have to wait until every single game is done to make sure you get the exact right pairings for the next round. So thanks for bearing with us through that lengthy delay. We are going to cut right back to the action. Let's get a preview of these players. Players we've seen on this stream a multitude of times already. Chris Sykes of Canada, Joey Malik of Maine. 2 games remain in this tournament. You can see they have identical records at 10-3. But Chris,
identical shirts
on thread. Identical shirts, no way! From the NASPA Double Down in Las Vegas last year. Wow, all right. So a big win from Chris here would all but Gibsonize him. A small victory would put Joey in a win big and you can clinch the tournament. And a Joey victory puts Joey in a win and you're done situation. So big game for both of these players. And let's not hold back the drama anymore. Let's cut right to the action. Chris with the opportunity to go first in this game and getting to shake off the right side curse that we've seen all tournament. Gets to play on the left. This time, Matt Canik in the box, joined by North American defending champion Josh Sokol and the one and only Will Anderson of the Wanderer 15 or Will Anderson YouTube channel. We've got a star-studded box. I don't even know why they let me in here, to be honest. But that being said, let's get underway and play some Scrabble. Chris Sykes, DOTW. Ooh, that C's not going to mix well. But the E going to give him some bailout options here. All right, CDENOTW for Chris Sykes. There's Cowed, COWED, or Wanted, WONTED. Each of those score 28, and I'd be surprised if we see anything except one of those two. Will, what do you say about this turn?
Just trying to, if I'm Chris, I'm trying to get through this with a minimum of time loss as possible. These are probably very, very close moves. Wanted has the advantage of not placing any vowels next to the double letter squares. Cowed has the advantage of keeping 2 slightly better tiles at a disadvantage of putting an E next to a double letter score and making it an S hook for Scowed. That being said, hard to fault either of these plays. You just want to get through quick on this turn.
And Cowed going to be the option for Chris here. NT is a very bingo prone leave, nice balanced, and we'll see what he's able to go find in that bag. He is going to dodge big stacking plays that Joey could have had on top using that double letter square. Oh man, GWR for Chris. And the WUG. Nice pull there. Just kidding. All right, over to Joey Malik, who I think, pivot is a pretty straightforward play here. PIVOT holds the nice ANT, scores 20 points. PAVIN above Cowed, making PE and AD was a second option for 27. But holding the double T's, I think Joey is correct to forego that terrible leave. So pivot for 20, the play from Joey Malik, and we're back over to Chris Sykes, AGNRTUW on his rack. Not the pull he was looking for, but at least he'll have some options. You see he's looking at WAG right now, WAG, on top of or underneath Cowed, VAW also an option, or WAUR. It's a really useful word to know to undouble or to get rid of both the W and the U in that terrible anti-synergistic combination. Will, what do you think here, WAG or WAR?
Well, he's going with WAG. Very tempting to play WAR, but just the reason that you would play WAR is a little bit more defense. This is such an easy E hook for Wage, in addition to an S hook, which this creates a much better S hook. Well, I guess Scout, so that's not true. So really it's about the E. Any bingo that contains an E is going to play way more easily after this compared to WAR, and you keep a U on your rack. That being said, if you were to play WAUR, WAR instead, you do keep the G without the full ING combination to go with it. Josh, where is your finely honed instinct on these G or no G plays lying?
I don't think I'm allowed to say anything. I think I have to say WAG is the better play because it gets rid of the G, but I would have played WAUR. Don't tell anybody, but I think WAUR is a better play. Chris already has the advantage of going first, being slightly ahead. I think it makes a lot more sense to get rid of the U, but hey, he just drew the Q. So this worked out pretty well for him, I would say. And he's going to be able to play Query after Faye from Joey Malik. So I think this is very good case scenario for Sykes.
Yeah, the old Scrabble adage is if you play the U, you're going to draw the Q. And so maybe Chris Sykes wisely holding on to the U. And as Josh said, Query, what we're going to certainly see. Yeah, Chris already playing it here. 37 points, surging him ahead 90-47 in this crucial penultimate game from Belleville, Ontario. 90-47, Joey to respond with AADENTZ. Canadian tournament, we're calling it Zed all weekend. ZEDA and PA is 38. Cadenza, CADENZA, plays down from the C for 40. Will, are you looking at either of those, or perhaps are you trying to set up your Zed with a Kanat, Qanat, from the Q?
So close. I'm not even trying to pronounce that letter. It's too ingrained in the American, pronunciation for me. But the suggestion of cadenza, I'm just going to try this. Yes, it does appear to be working. Mostly, it creates this gigantic S hook on the board, which feels really scary to do, especially after Joey's played a relatively smaller number of tiles on his previous turn. I think Zeta looks a little bit safer to get that to get that Z, I should say, on the triple letter score, playing into Pa on the board.
Okay, I'm starting to feel bad for you too.
It's uncomfortable.
It's okay. It's okay.
But in discomfort comes growth.
Josh, what do you think of Kanat, Qanat, for 28?
I cannot believe. Okay, sorry, I'll stop. It's a very interesting play. I just feel like it's getting the Z setup is getting blocked way too often. However, it's such a good letter. It's probably the third best letter, other than the blank and the S. And there's so many things that you can draw with the Z, even if that's set up on top, as if we can use the telestration, Qanat, setting up the triple word score, and making a spot for the Z, making za. So if it goes unblocked, the Z is going to score the word that we love over 50 points. So Joey going with it, maybe he's thinking about the last game where he set up his X with JEU, and he's really trying to do the same thing. This is a great play. I can't fault it. I don't think I would have played it though, and he's going to get burned.
Yeah, in the absence of other spots on the board, like plays are going to go on top most of the time. Now, crucially, cadenza would have given Chris a disgusting bingo of ethnonym, but instead, Kanat's going to give him a bingo score. Homie right here is 56, and Chris playing it nearly instantly. So that's going to put him ahead by a big margin.
Raise your hand in the chat if you would have seen ethnonym.
I wanted to make it a puzzle for y'all, but we ran out of time. It happened so quickly. Ethnonym, or there were actually two possible 8s that Chris could have drawn into or had open for him. Ethnonym and one more out of EHMNOTY. I'm sure people in this chat know the answers to it if they're top experts. But in any case, Kanat, the attempt at a setup, I think on a different board it's a good idea, but on this one with no other real scoring opportunities, likely to backfire, and that's what happened here. Cool thought, though, from Joey, and it looked really smart if it worked. Back to Joey now, who into his leave of Zed, Z-E-D, he's drawn OOST. God dang it, I did it again. Oh, okay, I quit. I'm fired. Said the Z instead of the Z. I think ZOOID, ZOOID for the I and is the option here.
Just
Man, I'm
stop.
really
Just
struggling.
stop. It's fine. Okay, we had our hot sauce. We had our hot sauce yesterday and Friday. I just feel like there's too much going on here. Too much not talking about the game. I feel really bad. But yeah, Zuid looks like a great play from Joey. It's a great spot too. It's not an everyday find. But yeah, he spots it really quickly. So he's going to be able to keep EST. He might draw into a bingo next turn. That's going to happen a lot. And yeah, instead, Chris Sykes doesn't have the greatest stuff. What are you seeing here, Will?
Well, it's possible that he's not going to be able to score super much. He had a rack like this the previous game. It had a V on it that made things more difficult, but the duplicated I's and duplicated T's are really going to make it a struggle for him. Just looking around, and I really don't see anything that makes me that excited, actually. So I'm open to suggestions about if he's got a star play here, but maybe
there's one play. It's a star play.
One standout option, about 8 points better than anything else equity-wise. That's Brit through the R in query, BRITH, holds INT, scores 26. I think that's far and away the best option here for Chris.
I misread that B as a D, so I didn't see that. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Gets rid of the duplicates, and you move on to next turn with a pretty good bingo leave. And there it is. He's got it.
Right on cue. Nice. These guys are so good that we basically anticipate they're going to find the best play on a number of the turns. That's just the caliber of both Chris and Joey as players. So Brith coming down and Joey into his EST leave, IDAL, the pull, and he will be bingoing back. He's got 2 playable bingos here. Chet's already given away 1, details, and there's one more as well that scores 3 fewer points.
So that's going to put Joey right back in this game. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Chris is still going to be... yeah, okay. He's going to go slightly ahead. Joey dropping a tile under the board there, unfortunately. But details, yeah, putting Joey slightly ahead. And this draw was not what Chris Sykes needed. He's just drawn all vowels. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, EIOU into INT, but that Z over on the left side going to give him 1 bailout opportunity. It's a terrifying play to make. Unitize for 32, open a triple, and expose a second triple word square. But when your rack is this bad and 32 points are available, you basically have to make this play, right, Will?
Yeah, the nice thing about it, at least, if you're going to make a volatile play like that opens things up to your opponent, you have 2 openings so that you can potentially get the other one when your opponent uses the first. So, yeah, I think it's a play that is, unless there's some other option that scores anything, it's almost forced here for Chris. It's so much better than any other options. And Josh, what are you reacting to?
I know
here?
it's gonna happen. If Chris finds Ionize and plays it, which I think if he sees it, he will. Joey's going to very quickly play Flak. If you could show that on the board on the top left corner, FLAK, making Lionize. That's going to score over 60 points. Man, that would be really bad. And it would keep AST. So I think Joey has quite the advantage now in this position. Unfortunately for Sykes, who honestly did very little wrong, if anything, this game so far.
Well, so Ionize and right, Unitize would avoid a little bit of that. But this will still get hit, but it won't be quite as horrible. It's still going to get crushed, though.
I wasn't listening.
Yeah, Unitize. Yeah. So he's going to dodge the big Lionize play by making the correct decision here of Unitize. Flak still plays, making FE for 38, and Joey's going to make this play in the next 15 seconds. As soon as he gets his paperwork done, there's nothing else to do here. But yeah, good play by Chris. If you see ionize, you got to keep looking and find unitize. That's the right play for him here. And then you've got to not draw vowels again. Chris, what are you doing? Stop. Oh my goodness, Chris, cut it out. Oh man. Okay. Do or die game. And you're going to draw like this. Rough for Chris Sykes, but exciting for us at home because we're kind of cheering for a Joey victory to get a final game. A Chris Sykes victory clinches a tournament for him. I want the drama.
Yeah, that draw. Oof. Not great for Chris, but Matt, as you say, it is good for us if it allows Joey to seize command of this game, because then we will get the winner take all final round between these two.
So Flack, again, I said it'd be 15 seconds. It ended up being more like 25. Apologies to everybody. Add that to my hot sauce list. But Flack to play. Deiiou is Chris's pull, and he's had enough. Exchange almost immediately. He's holding 2 here, and we want to take a look at what the unseen pool looks like to him. Sometimes it's okay to hold the E. Sometimes you'd rather throw it back. With the pool looking like that, 6 E's, 2 blanks to go get. I'm inclined to throw as many of these letters back as I can. I'd probably exchange 6 or 7, probably 6 just to give some fog of war, make my opponent think I might have a blank. But you can't fault him for keeping 1 E here, especially last game. Remember, he didn't hold an E. Everybody eviscerated him for playing Fuzzy instead of Fuse, and then he ended up dying because of that. I think it's okay to try to hold EE here. So there's his exchange. Back over to Joey. ANORRST. These are some of the most challenging racks to play. No bingos, no great scoring plays. And man, I want to go digging into this bag because I see all the good stuff left. But also, I've got a bunch of good stuff on my rack that I don't want to break up. So it's tough. Do I play OR beneath Canik for 17, holding ANRST? Do you play ROAN and Fader and a bunch of overlaps and set up your S? Do you do something else? Josh, what maybe outran through the U and unitize? Josh, how would you approach this turn?
I like the play that Joey's looking at, taking away the other triple when he has a lead with outran. This does a great job at keeping decently, but not banking on drawing into a bingo on this board that isn't so open. I think the defense, the scoring defense, as we call it, blocking the scoring spots, makes a lot of sense. And although there are tons of good letters left, from Joey's perspective, there are still 3 more R's, I think, to be drawn. So yeah, he might get into a little bit of trouble, but I like this idea very much, rather than trying to keep only 1 vowel, trying to go for that vowel draw. Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, I think this is a good play, and this is a play Chris Sykes does not like to see at all. As jumped was just taken away, jumped played for like 60. So Chris now has a significantly harder turn in front of him. I think outran is a nice play. Go digging in that bag and go find these goodies right here. A huge pull for Joey Malik, who leads 252 to 204 and has now found bingos aplenty on this rack. I'm not even going to spell out options because there's 9,000 of them. Chris has to figure out what he wants to do. Does he want to keep this board tight? He's got a bunch of points at the top. JUPE through the U in query plays for 32 right now. Does he want to open the board up? He can play something like plumed, PLUMED, through the L in details for 28. Extend pivot to pivoted if he wants to try to tighten things up, but with a deficit he can't. I think Jupe is probably the play here. Will, quick thoughts before we move on to Joey's turn?
Yeah, the J just so toxic for your chances of bingoing. Even if Chris were to have picked a blank after this play, if he keeps the J on his rack, that's no guarantee that he'll even have a playable bingo. So getting rid of it, I think, in his shoes has to be a top priority. So I do like the play for sure.
And now this is a crazy turn for Joey. He's got bingos, tons of bingos play for 76, 77. Singers and Flax is 76. Gersh's alongside Flax is 79. But he can also just plunk an S. Jupes and MAS is 38 and holds EGIRS blank, which is nearly a lock to bingo. I think only maybe the X misses a bingo. You've got to make this play here. We're seeing Joey bypass the bingo. Josh, agree or disagree? Plunk the S.
Oh man, Joey is playing so well, and look at that! Oh my god, the second blank.
Oh boy.
I can't believe that. That play is absolutely what you want to do here. You're ahead. You're getting 38 points for one tile, almost guaranteed to get a bingo next turn. Block a spot that might come in handy for the opponent. And man, what a gift. Sorry for that that pop off there. I don't know what that sounded like on the stream.
It sounded
I laughed
great.
really hard too.
Yeah, it sounded great. And that is just so impressive. That's a couple games in a row now for Joey to have made really, really clever, forward-thinking plays. We saw it last game. He set his X up with Jeu for just 20 and keeping that X for a much bigger play in the next turn, which he ended up using for a really big play that counteracted Chris's bingo. And here we just see another really good play. That patience by Joey is the hallmark of a truly elite player, which he is.
Yeah, Joey has been on point all weekend. We've seen very few, if any, blunders from him. Just very solid, consistent play, which is what we've come to expect from Joey Malik, who's been having, I think, the best results of his life over the last few years on top of that. And yeah, with that second blank, this one's all but done, nearly guarantees a final game. Let me get the score updated. I didn't do that. But Joey now leads 290 to 236. And Chris has one play that looks to stand out a little bit from an equity perspective. That's extending pivot, not to pivoted, but to pivot men. The problem with doing that is I feel like it kind of shuts down a board that he wants to keep alive. But 30 points is a lot to pass up, though that play is hard to spot. Josh, are you seeing any paths to victory here for Chris from his perspective?
Man, spotting pivot men would be amazing. It's true that it does sort of inhibit, I mean, it blocks the C in cowed for bingos. It blocks hooking flack with flake or flax. So it isn't great, like you say, from a board perspective. And with the deficit, Chris probably needs a bingo to win. If I were Chris, I would be wondering, like, what sorts of racks Joey might have to just drop the S. And I would be thinking that he probably mostly has just 1 point racks. Maybe he has a G, maybe he's close to something. I would not be thinking that he forewent a bunch of bingos to play jupes. So I think Chris is thinking about meads here because he probably assumes the blanks are still unseen. Otherwise, the likelihood Joey would have just played a bingo in his mind is probably quite high. So he's thinking of playing 5 tiles, really trying to go and dig into the bag, but he is not going to find a blank.
Emu instead of the higher. It looked like he was clearly considering meads in that spot, putting the S out in space, but he's going harder for a bingo. And I think Chris has to know after Joey's play of just the S on the previous turn that he's in a bit of trouble.
All right, so Joey has an embarrassment of riches now. Last time we saw him drop both blanks concurrently, we saw him triple for 131. No such possibilities exist for him here, but he's just going to be looking for a bingo that shuts this board off as much as possible, probably playing flax or flake and just trying to extend as many garbage tiles as he can to prevent overlaps back. But in commanding position, Emu puts Chris down at 253 to 290, and after Joey's bingo, this is going to be all but done. The one thing you can't do if you're Joey is bingo alongside flack, making AG and KI, something like girders or ginners or gingers, because if you make that play, you're exposing a triple. The one thing you can't do if you're Joey Malik here.
I would just add one little nuance that I don't know if Joey's thinking about this, probably not, but I just want to point out flack did not always take an S hook. It's only in the recent last update or two that flax has become good, and it's possible, though extremely unlikely, that Joey might not be 100,000% confident in putting an S on that word, but I think he's getting ready to do it here. Yeah, here he goes.
we're not going to be able to figure out what this blank is. Apparently, it's very obvious when the director tries to figure it out. So your guess is as good as mine. Is that a G or a V? Or, I don't know. I don't know that we're going to be able to get that information unless my team on the
I'm
ground.
like 95% sure he's made it a V serving. It makes perfect sense
Yeah,
to do that, and we can just assume that it's a V until otherwise proven. It doesn't really make much of a difference unless surging doesn't take an S, but I think it does, right?
They both do, yeah. So that's given that both of the options that this could be take an S. I agree with Josh completely that you would make this a V to avoid easy underlaps underneath the word.
All right, Joey setting a bar girl on his rack, which is not valid, but it's not going to play anyway. It's not going to make any difference, and I don't think Joey would try a phony. His word knowledge is so stellar that I wouldn't expect to see that from him. Chris with a difficult position, double ends a U and a V here, and now facing a 109-point deficit. He's got to feel that this one is quickly getting out of hand. And at this point, spread is no longer a consideration unless he gets drubbed, and then I don't think spread matters. So I think I'm just preserving mental energy here if I'm Chris. I've got to make sure I don't lose this one by like 160, I guess. But just his hand gesture says it all. Like, whatever. I just lose now.
That was his middle finger, it looks like.
All right, GUV. He has set up his S. It is the last one. That makes some sense. If he can find vowels like he's been doing all game, maybe he's got a chance.
That was a great play.
That's not what he was looking for.
I think that was a great play by Chris. He needs 2 bingos here. This cuts the board in 2. Really great. I think this is the one play that gives him a chance to win.
Yeah, I like it. Joey wasting no time, just keeping the scoring onslaught on. Rib plays for 32, and he drops it down right away. Whatever, if you hit your Gov's hook, you can bingo, but I've got so many points at this point that you're still out of range to catch me. And, of course, Chris didn't hit it anyway. I think maybe continue trying to get a bingo. NOD plays through the O in Zuid, making IN and FED. That's 17. Or you can say, forget about it. I'm going to play the S as well. Nods and Scoud is 30. But given the play of Gov, the S is so strong now. You're going to hold on to it, right, Will?
Yeah, for sure. You can't just cash your S for a few more points here when it is the key to Chris getting a big chunk of that deficit erased here. It's so powerful with Govs. It's very difficult for Joey to block that hook conclusively right now. So I do agree. Keeping it makes a lot of sense, but Joey's drawn something nice here.
Unbelievable. He's drawn a playable bingo. Larrigan plays beneath RIB. Right there, TILABA. You're expecting maybe Chris is going to get the bingo. He's got the S and the bingo prone leave. Joey says, forget about it. I will be bingoing on you instead. So, Chris, we said we're trying to avoid the loss of 160 or more. That's not something I had in the cards, but an incredible pull from Joey. Chris is now going to have to win the last game by a reasonable margin, as Joey, I think, is going to catch up on spread after a huge victory here now. Whoa.
Okay, so first of all, I'm laughing at what Chris has aligned on his rack there. I don't think the play of Nod was correct. You can still win. You could have still won the game if you played something like Indole from the I and Unitize, trying to draw into Unsexier from the U and Emu. You need such a huge bingo that you basically have to fish for as many points as possible. So he did end up drawing the X. I don't know. He couldn't have drawn... Could he have drawn Unsexier based on what Joey had? Anyways, it's all moot. That was like maybe a 0.5% chance of winning the game down the drain. for Chris Sykes. And yeah, Joey has not bingoed. He has not spotted his bingo. So we might see a miss where it doesn't really matter. And that's when you want to miss things, when you're winning the game anyway.
It doesn't really matter, but it does matter a lot. Joey's already up by 120. The spread difference between the two players is such that, okay, if Joey can win by 160 or more, Chris is going to have to beat him by a certain score next round. If you're Joey and you can clear 160 in the margin, that's huge for you and your chances of winning this tournament. So while it's not going to cost him the game, it could have consequences costing him the tournament down the road.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it's a great reason why it's so difficult to maintain your focus in each and every position that you're faced in a Scrabble game. In this situation, Joey is up by so much that his win is nearly guaranteed. So it's very difficult to really continue to hone in and make sure you're not missing anything. It's only natural, but I do expect that if he just opens his mind to the fact that maybe he does have a 7-letter bingo, I think he'll see it. But I think he looks like he's getting ready to play vaginal instead from the V of Gov, which would be a good blocking play, but not what he wants here.
Yeah, this is a big miss. For some reason, I didn't realize that the players were tied. I thought Joey was behind a game, so I thought that all that needed to happen if Joey won is just win. So yeah, no, you're totally right, Matt, with that point. It's a fair point. So Larrigan, which is a word Joey definitely knows, he might not have seen it. He might have seen it, not realize that he somehow set it up last turn. So yeah, definitely interesting stuff, and it might cost Joey the tournament. You're totally right. So things are getting very interesting.
But
All
thankfully,
right, so,
we're going to get it. Oh, sorry, Matt. I was just going to say we're going to get a chance to see that play out, which we would not have done if Chris had won this game. So we're getting, as Scrabble fans, we're getting the optimal outcome. And actually, it kind of makes it more exciting for Joey to miss that bingo, because then we're going to be watching that final game just to see if it ends up making a difference as well.
All right, so just 6 tiles for Chris after the play of AXE. He will not be able to bingo, but because Joey missed his bingo, he's unlikely to clear that 160 margin that he was looking for. Now he's in a solvable in-game situation. The fun extension OUTRAN takes the back CE, but leaves the abysmal IOORR combination. When you're in a situation like Joey's in, you're looking to go out before your opponent. You need to find a sequence that lets you go out, get rid of all your tiles in the next 2 turns. Quackle's engine, the Quackle the engine says his best in-game sequence is playing ORRICE through the R in serving for 18, but no in-game sequence for him is going to help him clear that 160-point margin. So unless something absolutely ridiculous happens and Chris is able to score 120 next turn, we're going to see a winner-take-all championship game here in the NWL division next round between these same 2 folks.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this coverage. We're finally getting some great games. I mean, this one was Joey's for most of the way through. But yeah, we're going to see a winner takes all. We weren't sure if we were going to, since coming into this game, as you can see there, the records, if Chris had won the game, he was within range to have way too much point spread, way too much differential for Joey to catch up reasonably in the next game. So yeah, Joey basically needed to win this one. He is set to win this one. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this. Hopefully you're liking, you're subscribing, especially with our friend Will on board.
That's right. It's a pleasure to be here. And I missed, apparently, the blowout style games yesterday. I just got to come on for the most climactic games today, all of which have been either incredibly nail-biting battles or even in this one, which is somewhat of a blowout, tons of really interesting strategic positions to sink our teeth into the cannot into homie sequence, Joey dumping off that S with jupes with tons of playable bingos available. Lots going on, even in this game.
This is crazy. So Corey looks like a better play than Oris because it puts the C on the double letter score. But the reason that it isn't is because of a new 3-letter word. Oris would have set up ROE, KOR, and ARO, the new 3-letter word. Designating someone who is aromantic. So this is a little bit of a mistake simply because of the new lexicon that we're using, NWL 2023. I think that's correct. I don't have the engine in front of me. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, perfect analysis. I was trying to figure out what it was, but you nailed it. That is the reason Oris is slightly better. But Chris can also just play NOSE at the bottom now.
Yeah, he probably wants to play LOSE instead because,
Self-description.
Yeah, he can also play lose. Yeah. So Oris would have actually set Joey up for a slightly better sequence at the end of this game. That's exactly right. And we haven't seen a single new word played on the stream. For those unfamiliar with competitive Scrabble, the lexicon is updated about once every 5 to 10 years, and the update hit on Leap Day. So this is the first multi-day tournament using the new word list, and we have seen precisely 0 of those new words played. So, as if we're back in time in the previous lexicon. ARO would have been a hype moment for us, but maybe this high-stakes championship game coming up will be where we see the debut of the new lexicon. All right, Chris, the very fitting lose, and then Joey going out OR for 9 is his scoring out, or his highest scoring out. That gives us a final of 457 to 335. Joey with a huge victory here. We are going to promise a quick turnaround, as we already know the matchup we're going to be seeing, and we know these players have finished their game. So we're going to let them take a little bio break. Chris might need to clear his head a little bit after some very frustrating draws, but we will not have a lengthy delay. Before we cut away, don't forget to hit that like button. We've got the championship game coming up. The more likes we get, the more YouTube pushes us up their algorithm. We got 214 watching now. Can we get to 100 likes? I think we can. I definitely think we can. And if you haven't subscribed yet, there's tons of live Scrabble being played here on the Let's Play Scrabble channel. So subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit that notification button, hit the like button, and we will have more Scrabble soon. Josh, Will, anything either of y'all want to add before we cut to a short intermission?
I mean,
I don't know.
Will,
you first, Josh. You first.
Yeah. So, do your viewers know how to like, right? They like your videos, I think. So I think we should just, the same thing that you do on the Will Anderson videos, right? I don't know. Do you get likes? I think you get likes.
Yeah, I do. And, since I started liking the videos on the Let's Play Scrabble YouTube channel, all of my, I'm almost 40 years old, but my aging has reversed. My hair loss has reversed. I'm feeling stronger. My energy is going up just by clicking the like button on Let's Play Scrabble. All of these things have happened to me. So this is my personal experience as YouTuber Will Anderson, and I recommend that you all get in on the act. Click that button and experience these incredible benefits. Also, you support a really amazing channel doing great things for live Scrabble streaming. But that's secondary to all the other stuff.
All right, you heard it here. Will needs hair. Help Will retain his hair. Hit that like button. All right, one little puzzle for y'all before we cut away to break. What anime is on my shirt? Spoiler when we come back. We're going to cut away to a brief break. I'll show you the rest of the shirt. That'll make it more obvious. I'm going to get some coffee. Y'all don't go anywhere. Championship game up next from Belleville, Ontario. See you in a few. One game remaining at the Canadian Scrabble Classic. Winner take all. Christopher Sykes of Canada, Joey Malik of Maine. This is going to be a good one. Matt Canik in the commentary box, joined by defending North American champion Josh Sokol and Scrabble legend himself, Will Anderson, or Wanderer 15. Couldn't be more excited to bring you this final game of Scrabble. Oh man. Will, what kind of nerves do players face when they're in a championship game like this? Do or die?
Well, it's very much dependent on the player. I think that somebody like Joey, who's been in situations like this before, is not super likely to feel nerves. I think of Chris as a pretty cool customer as well, but I could easily imagine plenty of players starting to feel the little extra jitters going into a winner-take-all game, knowing that even a little mistake would be not only devastating to your winning chances in the tournament, but also broadcast to a live audience on the internet. What do you think, Josh? Where would your nerves be at right now?
Oh, sorry. Just having some maple syrup. Yeah, I'd be ready. Just like I was ready to answer that question. But yeah, if you've been in the position before where you're getting streamed and it's the end of a tournament, yeah, it really helps. I know in the past, Chris Sykes has confided in me that he gets nervous when he gets on stream. So does everyone else. But I think the nerves, just like your tolerance for spicy foods, decreases over time the more, I guess increases. Yeah, that doesn't work. The analogy doesn't work. But that's okay. Players are, I think, almost ready. No, I think both of these guys.
Oh, yeah, we're ready. Let's
really
cut over. Let's cut
unaffected.
over to the board. Let's save everybody the suspense. Let's watch some Scrabble. That's what we're all here for, right? Not watching Josh make incorrect metaphors about life. So, Joey Malik.
I liked it. I liked the metaphor, Josh. I liked it.
Joey Malik, Chris Sykes, two guys who have been playing this game for a long time, a lot of experience, and both of them would love to net a victory here and claim the crown at the Canadian Scrabble Classic. Let's jump in. Let's get to it. Joey, with the advantage of playing first, with the better record as well. That's not why he's going first, but Chris is going to have an uphill climb, but he could certainly pull this off. Oh boy. And we are off to the races.
How many games have these two played? What number game is this between them?
5.
Wow. In a 15-game tournament. Impressive.
Yeah.
Jeez. Every single non-round robin game they've played was against each other. Just 4 straight. Yeah, they played all 4 games together this morning. So that's fun. All right.
Let's get some energy in chat.
NRY, yeah. Energy with a bunch of E's in it. Energy, a playable 6, as well as its anagrams, Greenie and Gyrene, Gyrene, all playable for Joey here. Will, between those options, do you care much? Do you have a preference between one or the other?
Gyrene looks good at first glance. I guess Energy would at least put one vowel next to a double letter score, whereas this avoids both of those. This does take an S hook, but then again, bingos with an S would still play on the board after Energy, so that's kind of a wash. This seems like a pretty good option to me.
Yeah, so that's the option Joey opts for, and I think most importantly, he's not spending a ton of time here. Chris Sykes, AEELNTT. This looks like it should bingo, especially getting all these different floaters. I would be so deep in my own head right now, like, God, I'm not going to miss an extremely high probability bingo in the championship game on stream, am I? There's got to be something, right? There's got to be something. But spoiler alert, there are no playable bingos here for Chris Sykes. So I expect him to aggravate just a little bit over this turn, but he showed us great command of high probability racks, and he has spotted what is his highest scoring option before I could even give it away. Eternal or Entreat both play as double doubles for 28. I think this is the best he can do here. Josh, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I did notice that he could play Gatelet, which is the phony he played yesterday from the G and Gyrene, and I was a little bit I was a little bit mesmerized by that. But yeah, with a rack like this, I am surprised how quickly Chris recognized he did not have a playable 8-letter word. So kudos to him, man. A great way to shake off this high probability rack so quickly.
Of
Showed
course,
great
Entreat would have
command.
worked out better because that L is going to give Joey a bingo, and Entreat would potentially have left Joey with nothing, which, of course, that's us in our privileged position in the booth saying that, though.
Yeah, I mean, Eternal's the right play in a vacuum, but that L allowing Joey to do significant damage here instead. Big swing as Joey out of a kind of ugly rack able to score a bingo score. That brings him ahead 91-28. And although Chris has a number of high scoring tiles with that triple word double letter spot available, there are no plays for him in that spot. He does have one fantastic option here. He can score 40 on this turn, but it's a tough play to spot, and I'd be so fixated on trying to address that O that I don't know that I'd see it here. The one play he has is down to the Y in Gyrene, Thewey, Thewey. That is 40, but I think we might see a smaller play using that big triple letter score between the A in Eternal and the E in Overleap instead. Will, how would you approach this turn if you're Chris?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you have to immediately look at that O. You've got so many consonants. It seems like an obvious place that you would have a great play to the triple through that O, but amazingly, he just doesn't somehow have any. Then your eye would drift over to the P of Overleap and look down and see if maybe some PH word or some sort of consonant heavy word would go down there. And once again, no dice. That's when, of course, Matt, as you allude to, your eye starts to look at that A and E. I can just point it out for you guys right here. This square is a spot that you're going to want to look at. But Matt is suggesting that the best play actually into this Y of Gyrene Thewey for 40 points, kind of off the beaten path. Let's see if Chris can open his mind to the possibility that his best play would be somewhere other than that A and E of Eternal.
Yeah, it's so easy to get tunneled into. I've got to undouble these M's and I've got to undouble these T's. Theory does neither one of those. Well, it does undouble the T's, but I'd be looking to break up duplicates anywhere here. I'd be looking to address the triple word. It's very easy to miss Theory here, as Chris just did. So MEW the play, 24 points. EHMTT the leave, but those T's open up a back hook. Overleap takes the back T for overleapt. Let's see if he's able to draw a big play there. CDDGHNT, a terrible post bingo draw for Joey, who has exactly the same conundrum. Now I see this O, and I can't do anything about it either. Oh my goodness. I guess GONCH, if he really wants to take the spot away, is an option that holds DDT if you're a pesticide fan. But I don't know. You've got to do something. Dong, another play that takes it away. CDHT, a much better leave, though there's a point sacrifice here. Will, what do you think? You take away the O, or do you play something like Tench through the E and overleap for 20 instead?
Leaving the O open feels scary, especially because you just saw Chris play two consonants and leave the spot open himself. I would be very concerned that Chris's rack is excellent, and by not playing to that O of overleap himself, that his rack is good enough that Joey feels compelled. I can't let him have one more crack at that spot. Maybe he did have two M's and a W. Maybe he's got a rack like that with a blank on it, and he's leaving that O open with the intent of tripling. Joey doesn't want to take that risk. That being said, I don't know, Josh. I think I still probably would have played Tench there in his shoes.
Yeah,
Right,
no, I
so
like the I like the play of dong, actually. Are we going to see ding donged, which I think is the only triple triple available through dong? That would be so cool. It's probably not going to happen. But Welk comes down and look at that amazing draw from Joey. EE blank, exactly what he was hoping for. And he has cheated a line on his rack, maybe feeling like this draw was a little bit too good.
Chested and Welks is 89. That's what he's got set up. It's not cheated, it's chested, and it's killer.
Of course. And no A for titanium for Chris Sykes. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
All right. So chested is a gazillion points, 89 for Joey. And again, he wastes no time making what is clearly his best play there. So 187 for Joey, 78 for Chris Sykes, who is already starting to feel like, oh, this is going to be one of those again, isn't it? He's not done yet. He's still got opportunity. He's got several plays that will open this board up and score some points. I think the best opportunity for him might be playing down to the Y and Gyrene once again, this time with Mutiny, M-U-T-I-N-Y, for 28. If he's concerned about the D and the triple triple, he can also play Tumid, T-U-M-I-D, in that spot for 24. But I prefer to keep that volatility open on the bottom side of the board and play elsewhere if I can. Although, I don't know, Tumid holds IN to play down to the G and Gyrene. Good options here for Chris, despite a grave position. Josh, what do you think? Tumid, Mutiny, something else?
Man, I am feeling for Chris Sykes. He's looked at the camera just like shrugging, like he hasn't done anything wrong other than the miss of Thuy this game. He's just getting browbeaten. It's really tough to be in this position. Tumid looks good. You really want to prevent your opponent from scoring. The problem is that puts an I right below the triple letter score, so you might not actually be preventing Joey from using the hotspots on the board. You might be giving him a huge play both ways through that second E in chested. So Mutiny might be the call here, but I think you want to leave INT. You want to hope to draw something to that E and Gyrene, to that G and Gyrene. I like this play. It also sets up a lane.
Well, wait a second. We don't like this play.
No.
Oh,
no.
Oh, not like this.
Yikes. Joey's clearly holding. You can see Chris not drawing his tiles. This looks like Chris getting his wires crossed at the worst possible time. Oh, devastating.
I don't know if he just I think he might have just reversed the M and the T by accident, maybe not paying attention to what he was doing. I'm not sure. Oh man. Ugh. You hate to see it.
Yeah, still very much alive, very much for the reasons that Matt described. Winning chances were definitely still alive there after the correct play of Tumid in that spot. Just keeping the nice IN combination, getting ready to maybe hit a bingo ending in the G here. But instead, that's going to be a huge swing for Joey, who now gets a free crack at that giant spot at the bottom of the board. Looks like bifold going to be his choice to that D, looking like a great option for him.
Yeah, bifold, far and away his best play here. So Joey's not going to waste any more time to address that spot and doing all the things he needs to do. Joey has shown such good command of the Lexicon all tournament. I think he's been correct on every single challenge we've seen come up in his game. And oh no, he's playing Muting instead of Mutiny one spot over. We've seen Chris do this. He'll lose a turn, get in his own head, and rush things. That's exactly what he's done here. You've got to try to calm down. This is a championship game. You've got to do everything you can to fight, even though you lost the turn earlier. That Q, he just set up the Q and then drew it, though. He's still alive. And Joey
that Q up.
Draw.
That's hilarious.
Joey's
Galaxy
up,
Brain.
125 here, I think. But yeah, QI for 62, maybe a breath of hope here, despite the miss of Mutiny. But yeah, he is. I mean, how can you not be so devastated in this position? I mean, you can see the
his body language. Yeah,
we're all feeling for him.
Yeah, we've all been there.
The problem is QI would block Ding Donged, which again I think might be a way back into the game. It's just obviously I just like the content plays. But yeah, I don't think Joey's blocking that QI spot. He has 3 O's. I mean, he's probably going to play Koof and EF or something like that. Is there a better play here, Matt?
Highest scoring option is FOOS alongside muting, making MO and US. That's 30. That's not a play we're going to see Joey make with this lead. You're not putting an F in a triple triple. It's not the most dangerous, but you don't do it. HOOF is a sneaky offensive play, setting up his own S, but with 3 more unseen, that's not a play I expect to see Joey make either. Something kind of timid and conservative, like either goof from the G and dong for 18, or oof above gyrene is what I expect. But instead, COAT going to come down below this. This is 23 points. FOOS to leave, though. Curious. And Chris wasting no time cashing in the Q that he cleverly set up on accident on purpose last turn. QI and QI, 64 gives him some life. And we'll see if he picks up an E. There's the E. This could be dangerous, though that R is not what he wanted at all.
Yeah, I don't think he has it.
Go ahead.
I don't think Chris has it. But yeah, let's get those scores updated. Joey trying the Z, which is so good. I have a hard time imagining Joey losing this game at this point.
ZOON plays in the same spot FOOS played last turn right there. That is 54. But again, with a lead like this, the one thing you can't let happen is a triple-triple. Will I get triple-tripled through a Z? Probably not. I did it, whatever. I owe so many hot sauce shots at this point. Will I get triple-tripled through the Z? Probably not. Is that a chance I want to take, given the commanding position I'm in? Definitely not. But 54 points is a ton. Otherwise, you're playing the same tiles with EN alongside Eternal for 35. Will open the triple-triple, score 54, or play it conservative here?
Sorry, that was an address to me. I thought you said, will the triple score 54? And I was like, no, it will not score 54. It will score 254 or thereabouts. I mean, Zune, I just think it seems crazy to create a situation where you could potentially lose the game so dramatically, but actually there are many other ways that Joey could lose the game beyond getting tripled through a Z. He could give up, Chris could bingo 3 straight times from here on out, and Joey would greatly miss the extra points that he's getting for this play right now. So it seems crazy to make a play like this, and Xander's going to come down instantaneously, which actually isn't so bad given the wealth of options that you might see through the Z. This is about normal. But Joey scoring 54 is, in my view, definitely the right choice for him.
All right, so ABFISTU now for Joey, who leads 300 to 210 after Chris quickly plays Xander, and that is what Chris has been looking for. There is a blank. That is exactly how he catches back up into this game. GIIRST blank on his rack. His head's down in his hands, but Chris, hang on. You've got a shot in this game yet. You got to hold on. This could be exciting, folks. Especially look at how many eyes are left in the pool. There's still some garbage. If Joey pulls into a bad rack and Chris gets a good play here, we might see some exciting stuff. This one's not done. Not yet.
Yeah, this is tough, though. I mean, Joey's still up 90 points. That blank might prove useful. But how useful? I mean, does Chris even have something playable right now? If he doesn't, he's not scoring anything. Maybe he could play underneath between coat and bifold. I'm seeing GIE or something like that. I don't see a playable bingo with GIRSTT blank.
There's a new word.
Are you sure?
Sorry, I got so excited.
It's fam.
Oh,
we got it,
fam.
We got it, fam.
I thought you meant for Chris. Okay, yes, fam. Finally. I can't even say it.
Yeah,
Well
so
done.
fam, the first new word we've seen on stream at this tournament coming up in the championship game. And while Joey gets the new word, Chris about to have the big word. He has 6 playable bingos here, 5 different words. The highest scoring one begins with an S and is a 7. We will let the chat solve that one. I know people like these puzzles.
Matt, you have the wrong tiles. You have 2 I's rather than 2
his
T's.
T is upside down. Oh,
Yeah.
Matthew O'Connor on the stream? Jeez. Okay, he has no bingos. I'll take everything back. This is what happens when you orient your tiles random directions, huh?
Yeah, I didn't think Chris had that in him. But we're seeing some shadows of Matthew O'Connor here, which, of course, everyone loves to see, right? Everyone loves the misoriented tiles in chat. Come on.
Yeah, all right. So I think with 3 other S's out, you can go ahead and cash this one.
Yeah, he needs these points badly to stay in range, just so that his eventual bingo actually matters in terms of being able to complete his comeback down so much. In all likelihood, he's probably going to need 2 bingos from here, but the points of Gits is likely the best he could have done. And now I do think he's going to be able to, depending on what Joey plays, Chris is going to have something like Sported and Xanders that will actually score enough to make things a little bit interesting.
Or Deports beneath Xanders is going to put the P on the triple letter. That's going to be near 90 points. Big
Even
draw
better
for Chris, who all of a sudden may have a shot. Joey's at 324, Chris at 328, and Joey with an awkward rack here. You know, in a vacuum, you want to play something like BAT in the bottom left corner of this board, making BI and AT. Either orientation is fine. AEISS is a good leave, but if you miss a bingo on that pull, if you pick up vowels, you are in huge trouble. You're not scoring. The worst thing you want to do is play BAT and then draw vowels and then get bingoed on. Oh my goodness, now it's a 50-50 game. So there's one great play for Joey, GABIES, from the G and Dong through the I in fruits and back hooking Mew. That is the best play for him here, but it is tough to spot. He's going to play BATE, and I like putting the E on the end to get rid of some of the 1-pointers. But Chris wasting no time responding, though Sported over Deports. I think you want to think about this one a little bit longer.
Yeah, what's the score on this? I spotted this one first, but I can't imagine it scores as well as Deports. So
82.
That's a lot of points to leave. Yeah, it's a lot of points to leave.
Deports is 84. It's a 2-point difference. This does give additional floaters for him to hit back.
Okay, yeah, if it's that close, then this does have some positional advantages over Deports, just creating a little bit more complexity, more of those 8 lanes, because you could easily imagine, let me just draw it for you, if he does play Deports right here, that's going to be met a lot of the time, whenever Joey can, with a play on top to the triple, which will subsequently close off all the openings. A little bit more difficult to close things after Sported, I guess. But either way, things still looking pretty grim for Chris. He's going to need something pretty special out of the bag right here.
I'm really not sure. I do think Deports is a better play. And yeah, we see OUU, and he has stopped drawing because he is just that upset. Oh my goodness.
We're going to need a really good draw here. Oh goodness, Will, why would you commentator hex like that? This is on you, buddy.
Oh my God. Oh, God.
Joey's check is in my inbox right now. What can I say?
Why? That's the worst draw I might have ever seen on stream.
Yeah, brutal. That's just brutal. You mean when you're in that situation in Chris's shoes, you've made this bingo to cut the gap, and you're just like, man, come on, one time, let me get something good with these 7 tiles. Actually, no, I don't say that. I serenely sit and do not care about the outcome and just try to solve each turn like a puzzle. I definitely don't do what I just said, by the way. But some of us might.
Yeah, this is. I mean, look at what's unseen though from Joey's perspective. The unseen letters are so terrible anyway. I mean, we would just have hoped Chris drew a J or an X to make things interesting with his 30-point deficit. But even so, I think the position is crushingly good for Joey Malik, considering what he's looking at and considering he had both of the S's. That were unseen to Christopher. So, I mean, this is really, really, really bad, and it's probably over now. But I don't know that there was much better. I mean, Chris Sykes needed a hell of a draw to stay in this game.
It's not, if you're Joey here, Jo alongside Sported is still a big threat. I don't think anybody's going to be scoring very well for the rest of this game. So you want to watch out for even those intermediate plays that could serve as big scores. And if Chris hits the J and then hits the X big, that's a concern. So, there's still threats. Joey's got a number of different paths to victory here. He can play RIYAL, setting up the last two S's, which he is holding on to. That's a way to play some offense and win this game. He can also play airily, AIRILY, sitting on the powerful SS combination for 20. But I feel like airily can be hit back with plays using the J alongside it. JIAO gets played a lot of the time through this I in airily. So it's a little bit of a risk to make this play. But I think you just have to hope it doesn't happen, or hope you can use your S's to outrun Jiao if it does come down. So airily is going to be the play here from Malik. He's looking to dodge some of the terrible stuff, and we know nearly all of it is already on Chris's rack. I think Chris has one shot. You've got to exchange and draw a miracle here, or this one's done.
I think there are not enough letters left to exchange.
You're right. Well, he's just done. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, there were some threats from Joey's perspective, like JO also making JIN on the left side, hitting that middle left triple. But yeah, none of those are going to occur. Joey has drawn the X, so the J is still in the bag from Chris Sykes's perspective. So he's maybe going to draw that, but it's just not going to be good enough. He can't do anything here. It's just so brutal.
Yeah, it looks like a clear-cut exchange in a normal circumstance, but with too few tiles in the bag, by rule, there have to be at least 7 for you to exchange, and he's going to have to come up with something to actually put on the board, which is not going to be an easy task.
I have no idea how you're supposed to win this now. If you're Chris, I think you hope that like at 3 or 4 of those vowels are left in the bag, but then if you draw them, you're not scoring anything. If you hope the high scoring consonants are in the bag, then your opponent has a good balanced rack instead. You're just dead. That was an absolutely devastating post bingo draw. Feels good about Sported, and then A. That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Killer.
So what happens here if Chris Sykes plays OY and OUR for 16? It doesn't really look like Joey Malik can do much, but I don't know what Chris is even drawing into after that. But it does make things maybe a little bit dicey. What's the response to that? Leaves 1 in the bag. Is Joey going to play XU? Is he going to play like Sir, SIR? I don't really know, but Avo instead coming down. I mean, this is not a fighting play. I would have liked Chris to try something, but he's so devastated. I totally understand.
Yeah, I'm racking my brains here. This is like nothing that feels very good. So
if he draws the J, he hits Jiao. And he missed the J anyway. If he drew the J, he'd have JIAO and a fighting chance, but he left it in the bag, which is just killer. So 366, 355, Malik's advantage. Though Malik is going to draw the J. Sorry, 335, 366, yes. Joey's going to draw the J. If he plays his I here, he might end up in some trouble. WIS and Gyrenes alongside Sported, like, is a play that maybe he'll make, and then he could, be in huge, huge trouble. But I don't think we're going to see Joey do that. He's got to prepare as if multiple different things are there. I think we're going to see defense against Jiao first and foremost, JIAO through the I in Airly. And otherwise, he's just got to preserve a vowel on his rack so he doesn't get caught in the worst case scenario. Josh, what do you think here? They just got Vax, right? Are we going to see another one?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean, from Joey's perspective, the threats are plays with the J. So JIAO again next to the ORT blank of Sported, but also again JO and JIN, which scores a healthy 37 on the left side. Joey needs to do some math here and prove that he's winning the game to himself, even if one of those threats comes on the board. And if not, if he thinks he's losing sometimes after JIAO, which scores more and leaves Chris with more options maybe to go out on the next move after that, I think he might very well just choose to block with something like Socks through the O, maybe, or yeah, maybe Vax, maybe another new word. But I mean, it is pretty close. 31 points. You could see some weirdness occur, especially if Chris has the J, which he doesn't. But yeah, as long as Joey keeps his eye, I think he is home free here. But he's going to take his time. He has so much of it, just to make sure that he's not missing any threats and that he's doing the best that he can. There's also Jury to the Y of Airly, which maybe Joey's worried about as well, since he doesn't have a play from the J. So this is complicated.
I think one thing we can take away from this, Chris has definitely been wearing his tells on his face, and this has been such a frustrating game. The lost turn early and a bunch of terrible draws. He's also lost 2 consecutive games to Joey. The only way he could have lost this tournament was to drop 3 straight to Joey. So he's got to be feeling a lot of emotions. I've been in this situation before. It sucks. But I think he's given a few too many tells away that he's devastated. Maybe it's his way of saying, please just put me out of my misery and end this game already. But maybe a slightly more complicated position for Joey if he's not getting these tells. I don't know. I feel for Chris, though. He's a nice guy and doesn't deserve to go out drawing AAOOUU. That's unfair, man.
Yeah. Will, it's over now, right? Like Jivey jives through the E's, like.
Yeah, I like that play by Joey also, just because knowing he has the last S's in the game on his rack, creating a nice spot. He definitely had draws of plays that he could hit playing underneath Socks and getting his last S in this valuable spot. So by making this here, if he drew an A, he could have played Ertz through this T for a whole lot of points. I'm sure there were a bunch of other things that he could hit. So I like this option for him. And as you said, Josh, he can now play Jivey into this Y, which will score a lot unless Chris manages to block it. So looking like Joey has pulled off the not quite impossible, but pretty darn improbable.
Yeah, he had to win 3 straight to win the tournament, and he was able to pull it off again. Just rock solid play from Joey all weekend. I don't think he's missed any bingos. I don't think he's lost a single challenge. He has been a machine this weekend and put on a dominating performance. He'll finish 12-3. And I know he was having some travel issues. He did not realize Belleville was as far as it was from Toronto and realized, I think I have to leave the tournament early to get to the airport, but I'm in contention and I'd hate to do that. So Joey's got to be glad he's stuck around now, and some of the prize money he's about to win can go towards an express Uber to the airport. So yeah, I'm hearing from the director, his plan is to Uber to the airport as soon as he can. So he's glad he stuck around for sure to pay for that ride.
Yeah, good decision for him here. And really, it's no surprise. You know, we talk a lot. Obviously, in the Collins division, we had a former national champion clinch that division early, Matthew Tunnicliffe, and Joey Malik has to be in the conversation now for one of the best players in North American Scrabble who has not actually won a North American championship. He was right there this year, as Josh well knows, his finalist opponent this year, where Josh, our co-commentator, came out victorious, but Joey has finished really well in a whole bunch of national championships. I don't think it would surprise anybody to see him lock one of those down someday.
Yeah, Joey's such a strong player. I know firsthand. And yeah, congrats again to Matthew Tunnicliffe on clinching his division already 2 rounds ago, was it? Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. And what an incredible comeback from Joey Malik as well. Chris Sykes was ahead all tournament. So some huge drama here. Of course, this is what we wanted. We wanted a winner takes all game, but the way that this went down was just so unfortunate. But yeah, it's been great. It's been great to cover this event. Unfortunately, Canada is not going to take both divisions. Joey, the only American in the North American Lexicon division. So yeah, I don't know. Canada's got to fight back one of these days.
I think Canada's doing pretty darn well for itself these days, Josh. But but I suppose in this tournament we have Joey representing the U.S. quite ably.
Indeed. So we're going to see Jivey. We're going to see Chris Sykes play something from that J, probably Joe or Jar. And we're going to see, a very, very slow endgame. But yeah, an endgame that's going to end in Joey Malik's favor.
Chris is actually just going to go out arrow. Yeah, play out for 12 so you don't give up WHIRS back. Better to play out than to take your 30, but it's whatever. You do anything you want in this situation, you're done. What a tournament. What a comeback for Joey Malik. For those of you tuning in, either watching Scrabble for the first time or seasoned vets to the Scrabble stream, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the Let's Play Scrabble channel as well. Josh Greenway, Kieran O'Connor put on a number of tournaments around Canada and North America, and they are all streamed right here on the channel. The big one, again, that we're featuring is in 2 months, a tournament in Montreal, the Montreal Showdown, a huge prize fund donations, compliments of WGPO, and other sponsors as well. I think $7,500 plus in additional prize money at that tournament. So tune in for the stream or get your name on the entrance list. And if you're thinking about playing Scrabble yourself, check out cross-tables.com. You should be able to find tournaments in your area coming up. It's a list of all upcoming tournaments in North America. Cross-tables.com. Find some Scrabble action near you. If you're not Joey Malik, if you're not Chris Sykes, if you're not anywhere near this level, that's A-okay. Scrabble tournaments have divisions. You'd start in the novice division. You can play against other novices, and if you want to, work your way up. If you don't want to, you can hang out in the novice division and come party in Montreal. Everybody gets what they want out of this game. I use it as an excuse to travel and go see friends and meet nerds. But check it out. If you haven't played Scrabble yet, I cannot more strongly recommend that you try playing at a club or tournament near you sometime soon. We're going to cut away from the players. Congrats to Joey Malik on winning the NWL division. Congrats to Matthew Tunnicliffe on winning the CSW division. Congrats to all of you for hanging out with us on this beautiful Sunday, at least beautiful here in Texas. Will, what were your thoughts on watching that comeback?
Not too surprised. Joey absolutely unfazed by the task that he had set before him to win many games in a row against a very strong player. But just add that to his pretty large trophy case at this point. Really impressive performance by him. Commiserations to Chris. It looked like he was playing phenomenally well for most of the event until maybe just that fatigue or nerves caught up with him in that final game with that phony where he was already in terrible shape, and then his draws did not help one bit. But just one other little clarification to add, Matt, to what you were saying. If you're watching these streams and you're saying to yourself, whoa, holy hell, these players are so good. Well, yeah, join the club. That's like 99% of people who will ever play Scrabble. There's so many other levels of play, divisions, types of people at these tournaments. Very rewarding to get involved. One of the better decisions that I've made in my life. So if you're on the fence and you're seeing these events, feeling intimidated a little by the play you see here, you really shouldn't be. There's a lot. It takes a village. There's all kinds of players out there, Scrabble players in our community, and we hope you will join us one of these days. So that's all I have to say on that.
Josh, any parting words from the wise?
Well, let's not forget Will Anderson was also a national champion. He knows what he's talking about. Is a national champion. You know, you're still good. Yeah, I'm sorry for distracting everybody with my maple syrup. I was listening. That's just my ADD speaking. It's been a pleasure commentating with both of y'all. Honestly, and yeah, if you're thinking of going to these tournaments, listen, there are some good players that won't be playing. They'll be commentating. So, you know, it's not as bad as you think. Please get involved if you're interested in Scrabble. We're a very open community. We love seeing new players. Don't be intimidated. This is the best of the best that we're watching, other than Will Anderson
come on out,
commentating.
Learn what is an awesome board game with infinite depth and infinite varieties. No two games are the same. Scrabble is so much fun, whatever level you choose to play at. Let's do the thank yous real quick. First, thank you to Josh and Will for taking time out of their weekend to jump on and plugging us on their respective channels. If you haven't already, follow Josh on YouTube and on Twitch, and Will on YouTube as well. You're really missing out on a lot of content if you haven't done that yet. Huge thank you to our directors, Josh Greenway and Kieran O'Connor, and especially to Josh for organizing all the electronics, the stream behind the scene. He makes this so easy for me to just jump into my chair, throw on a shirt, and talk about Scrabble, I guess. Huge, huge contributor to the community. So thank you, Josh. Thank you to all of the viewers for hanging out with us this weekend as well. And if we don't see you anywhere else anytime soon, we'll see you on the coverage of the Montreal tournament in late May. Signing off for now, Matt Canik, Will Anderson, Josh Sokol, concluding the 2024 Canadian Scrabble Classic. We will see you all again somewhere soon. Until then, take care.